I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please call roll call.
Councilman Samaluka? Here. Councilman Camilleri?
Here.
Councilwoman Diarminio?
Here.
Councilman Accomando?
Here.
Council President Mazzer.
Here. Please rise for the salute to the flag. I'm going to ask that you remain standing for a moment of silence for our police officers that were most recently killed in the line of duty. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members on May 29th, 2015, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975.
The public is hereby advised that any statements made during the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who take issue with such comments or are offended by same may and have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. Any member of the public who addresses the council speaks for themselves and not for the council.
Thank you. At this time, we will open it for presentations. Mayor, you first.
I have 3 presentations to make tonight, and they all have a common theme in that they involve the military. The first presentation that I would like to make is of Vincent Crowley. Can you come up, Vince? We also have the honor of having Assemblyman Timothy Eustace here with us tonight. Tim is the Assemblyman in the 38th District. Tim, could you come up too as well? Okay, Vincent enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps in 1947. He enlisted in order to help his family. His dad was very sick, he was ill, and couldn't provide. So Vincent joined the Marines in order to help his family survive, basically. Once he was in there, he spent 9 years, between 1947 and 1956. He served active duty through the entire Korean War. He received an honorable discharge, retiring as a staff sergeant. Vincent is a very humble and quiet man. He doesn't like to talk about his service accomplishments. I know for a fact that he spent at least 1 full year on the ground in Korea during the war, and we'll just leave it at that. After coming out of the military, he had a very successful career in the banking industry. He's a lifetime member of the VFW in Saddlebrook, Post 3484, and also the American Legion in Elmwood Park. Recently, Vincent was selected to be the Grand Marshal in the 2015 Memorial Day Parade. Thank you, Vincent. Myself and the council, we have a proclamation. I'm not going to read mine and the council's. I'm going to have Assemblyman Eustace read his from the state.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations, Vincent. This is from the Senate and the General Assembly. The joint legislative resolution by Senator Gordon, Assemblyman Eustace, and Assemblyman Lagana. Whereas the Senate and General Assembly of the state of New Jersey are pleased to salute Vincent Crowley, an esteemed member of the Garden State community, in recognition of his military service and many accomplishments. And Vincent Crowley, who enlisted on September 3rd, 1947, served our country with honor and valor in the United States Marine Corps, and achieved the rank of Staff Sergeant. And whereas Vincent Crowley enjoyed a superb career that included his efforts as a valued employee of Schelling Hardware, United Baking Company, and Interchange Bank. And he also served as a bartender at the Lamp Post and the Arch in Saddlebrook. And whereas, these are important occupations, right? And whereas, in addition, Vincent Crowley has given generously of his time and energy as a member of and leader within American Legion Post number 170 in Elmwood Park and VFW Post number 3484 in Saddle Brook. And he served as Grand Marshal of the Township's Memorial Day Parade. And whereas Vincent Crowley has been upheld in his life's efforts by his wife Patricia and his children Kathleen and Kevin, and he takes great pride in his grandchildren Amanda, Kayla, and whereas the people of the state of New Jersey are genuinely indebted to the hardworking and inspiring citizens personified by Vincent Crowley, whose time and energies are devoted to improving the effectiveness of their communities and the quality of life for their neighbors. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and the General Assembly of this state, the state of New Jersey, that this legislature hereby honors and salutes Vincent Crowley, pays tribute to his meritorious history of service, leadership, and commitment, and extends sincere best wishes for his continued success and happiness. Be it therefore resolved that a duly authenticated copy of this resolution, signed by the Senate President and the Assembly Speaker and attested by the Senate Secretary and the Assembly Clerk, be transmitted to you, Vincent Crowley. Congratulations and thank you, sir.
Vince doesn't like being the center of attention. He's ready to leave. You can leave if you want, Vince. Okay, the next one that I have is for Deborah Makowitz. Deborah, come up, please. Deborah's parents, Dawn and Andrew Makowitz, are both lifelong residents of Saddlebrook. They grew up here in town, went to school here in town, and raised their children here in town. Dawn is the recreation track commissioner in town, and Andrew just celebrated his 25th, I think it's 25th, right? 25th anniversary of being a fireman. He was also a past fire chief as well. We're here to talk about Deborah. Deborah is a scholar athlete at Immaculate Heart Academy. She's National Honor Society and on the Student Council. A few weeks ago, at the New Jersey State Group Track and Field Meet Championship, she won the Division A parochial long jump with a record-breaking jump, school record for IHA, of 18 feet 4 inches, which is amazing. My son, Timothy, who is a teacher in Bloomfield, and he coaches track and field as well there, did some work helping Deborah, and he told me that she was, quote, the most disciplined high school athlete that he has ever seen. So,
Wow.
Fierce competitor also came out. But anyway, that discipline that she has is going to come in very, very handy, because Deborah was nominated by our good friend, U.S. Congressman Bill Pascrell, to attend and she was accepted to attend the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy this fall. Now, that's quite an accomplishment. She's the only student in Saddlebrook that got accepted to a military academy this year. So, Tim, you want to give the proclamation?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations. We can tell by the hurdles you jumped that you're going to do an amazing things in the rest of your life. Since you can jump so well, you should consider going into politics. No. We wish you all the best. The Senate and the Assembly have recognized your accomplishments, and we memorialize them and give you a proclamation honoring you. Thanks, Deborah.
For those of you who do not know, every year for the past 15 years, I've offered a $500 scholarship for a graduating Saddlebrook senior. And this year, I am proud to present my scholarship to Alba Capolini. Come on up, Alba. She's going. Every year, I kind of change it up a little bit. There was a time when I just asked for a 500-word essay on community service, and that was a little too simple. Then I included political science, and if they were going to political science or state or any federal, they were planning on going into any of those careers. So I'm happy to say that Alba's actually going into political science. Yes. But I have to say, her essay and her work that she has done is really close to my heart. This has to be the first in 15 years that I've come across this type of community service, and I've asked her to read her essay.
Hi, everyone. I may be a little nervous, but I'll read it. When I first presented this scholarship, I was like, I don't know what to write, but then I realized it's just from my heart, so I'll just read it. Okay, so my question was, what would you students do to improve to increase community service in young adults? Here's my essay. I have always viewed myself as a very promising student. I have worked extremely hard and received high grades. I have a close group of friends and my teachers, and I have mutual respect for each other. Even though I would consider myself as fulfilling with life, I have realized that something was missing. I realized it was not an acquisitive aspect of my life. Through a thoughtful incident, I finally discovered what fit perfectly in that vacancy. However, one of the scorching instances of an event, joining Glamour Gals and visiting senior citizens, I was warmed and comforted by realizing what I was devoted of community service. After visiting the senior citizens several times and became friends with them, I began to realize how much they needed someone to talk to. At first, I was shy going there, but then I began to talk to the elderly and understand their situations and difficulties. Each senior citizen had their own unique experience. This diversity sparked an interest to know everyone's individual story. Going to the senior home and made me have a big heart and made me volunteer more. I believe if every teen talked to people, they would encourage to do other opportunities as well. Glamour Gals has opened my heart and my mind. On average, when people think about community service, they assume volunteering is just hours. Community service is more than just hours. Community service is based on the active performance of someone who purposely helping their community. It improves communities and it can change life. People frequently compare community service as a punishment since it's often offered to a small town offenders as often to fines or jail time. However, community service is a vital force to many communities since they depend on several service made by volunteers to able to grow. The words community service and volunteering are being used constantly. People tend to misunderstand the real meaning or significance of how community service can change a life. Moreover, to promote young students into volunteering, I would provide examples for them and show them that community service is not just hours. I would show them that community service is it's for the time and heart it takes to do it. Getting more young adults drawn to get involved can also become an emotional aspect. Community service and volunteering in different types of places can make teens open-minded and appreciate themselves more. I believe that getting more young adults into community service is by advertising it. First and foremost, the social benefit of community service involvement are countless. Young adults are able to develop an oral and physical communication skills, debating techniques, and social skills by volunteering.
Like I said, it was very close to my heart, the fact that Albert spent time at the nursing home and with the elderly. Now, years ago, we used to have a nursing home here in Saddlebrook. Now there's a facility in Maywood, And I know firsthand, because my mom and my aunt are there. And if you go, if there's a second and third floor, they only house about 65 elderly people that are there long term. But it's a beautiful facility. And I got to tell you, I bet you at least 50% are Saddlebrook residents that are there. And if you walk down the hall, I read their names. If there's someone that I see familiar, or not even, I don't have to know them, stop in. Well, you have to see their faces. And the fact that, I play bingo with them, just, so what I'm saying, if anybody has any extra time out there, I'm so impressed that you're at your age that you're doing that. Please keep up the good work, because it means so much to them. And where are you going to school?
I'll be going to Montclair for law, for political science, yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, lots of good luck to you, really. And I'd like to present you with this check for $500. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to open the meeting for the hearing on the budget amendment. Have a second. All in favor? The meeting is now open for public participation on the amendment to the budget, and at this time, if anyone has any questions on that. Okay. Let's see. Seeing none, we'll ask for a motion to close.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Yes.
I don't know, I have questions, but we could have our auditor just explain.
Sure.
What
The amendment was,
it's a
yes.
minor amendment, but
Okay.
just so
No problem. You're on.
Thank you. The amendment was a couple of small technical changes that the state required us to pass prior to adopting the budget. The most significant was the allocation of state aid between the Consolidated Municipal Property Tax Relief Aid and the Energy Receipts Tax, and adding a little bit extra in interest on notes in the debt service of the water utility budget. But and that's all that's in the amendment.
Fine.
did
Great.
it add
Thank
anything
you.
to the rate that the taxpayers will be paying?
No, the budget that was introduced a number of months ago is still the same budget, the same impact. The total appropriations are up 1.89%. The tax levy is up 2.47%, and the increase to the average residential homeowner, which is about $296,000 of taxable value, is $95.20. And it should be noted that $34 of that increase is directly related to the reduction in ratables based on 2014 tax appeals. So only $61 is really because of the budget itself.
And then we're gonna have the county and the Board of Education and the county.
Right, and those, the Board of Ed, I think their budget's done, but the county information is not available yet.
Just so everyone has an idea of what we're talking about. Sure.
Okay. So we're going for adoption.
Motion to close?
Okay. It's closed. I believe it was closed, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll move with the budget adoption.
Yes. I'm going to move to adopt the budget. Sorry?
When are we opening the meeting for public? After this?
We have to, yeah.
The resolution is posted on the bulletin board. It's the resolution to adopt the budget for the municipality for the year 2015.
Motion. A motion to open.
Second.
All in favor?
I would take a vote.
I'm sorry. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
This is to vote for.
Adoption.
To adoption.
Adoption of motion. I had indicated that I was not in favor of the grant writing, and I thought that money would be better spent toward a full-time recreation director. I said that for years. Someday, I hope that it will come to fruition, and my vote may be just symbolic, because I know I'm outvoted. And otherwise, I think it's a fine budget, but I do believe that we should have a full-time rec director. I think that we can't afford it. And from my talks with people from other communities, I don't believe that a grant writer is the best thing. If I had to weigh the two, I would think the rec director full-time paid rec director would be better, so I'm voting no.
Councilman Camilleri,
Yes.
Councilwoman Diorminio,
Yes.
Councilman Accomando,
Yes.
Council President Mazzer.
Yes.
Budget's been adopted.
And- we have to open, right? May I have a motion to open to the public?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
And the meeting is now open regarding the budget. Budget adoption, right? Yes or
No.
no? No, I'm sorry, I thought you were going to talk about, I'm sorry, general. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Amy Higgins. I live at 228 Saddle River Road. I've been involved in the town for about 30 years, a resident for 22, and in my current residence for 13 years. I live on Saddle River Road my property backs up into the park, and I'm directly across from the Rochelle Park Swim Club. It's that wooded area of the bike path. Over the years, I've seen a lot of wildlife come through my yard. Besides the rabbits, squirrels, raccoons, groundhogs, I've had snakes, turtles, turkeys, turkey vultures, eagles, hawks, fox, and deer. I've never had a problem with any of those animals before, except the deer eating everything. I actually have more animals in my yard than my parents do in Pennsylvania. Over the past several years, since Hurricane Sandy and Irene, we started to notice an increasing number of coyote. It used to be just seeing one here and there, and now it's been more often. Now they're out during the day. I've read all the warnings that have been put out for the other towns. Clear your property. That you have to you should keep your children inside, keep small animals inside, which would lead me to believe that that would be a danger to people. And tell you shouldn't run, you shouldn't turn your back and run. But at the same time, they're telling us, don't worry, there's nothing to fear. They tell us to make loud noises. I've done that, and I wouldn't classify it as running in fear. They kind of just look and walk away like, oh, I'll come back later when you're not around. And they're also starting to come in groups. Most of what we've seen by my yard is 4. Now, I kind of feel that if they're in packs, it's more of a danger. We've seen them, like I said, we've seen them in groups. I have 2 dogs that are about 60 pounds. The largest one we've seen is about this tall. So I kind of feel that I'm not getting use of my property in town because I can't go outside. I mean, I can, but it's just the fact of having a barbecue. Who's going to want to come sit in my yard? Here, give your small child a hot dog and go stand over there by the trees and see what happens. It's becoming a nuisance. And I know you're going to tell me that there's nothing we can do, just like all the other towns are saying there's nothing we can do, but wouldn't it be great if we were the town that tried to do something? I'm not saying to kill them, and I kind of feel if we could go to the county and ask them to post signs of where they are, post signs in our town by the park entrances saying that they're there. People need to know that they're there. I am chasing them out of my yard, and what I'm doing is chasing them into the park towards the bike path where people are walking with strollers and little dogs. So it's like a ping pong match. We're chasing them in, they're chasing them out. But if the town could maybe find out about putting up signs, if there's a way to count them, let's see how many we're talking about. If it's only 4 in the whole park, all right, then I'm one of the unlucky ones. I also don't want to become the statistic that they say we won't do anything until it hurts a person or an animal or a pet. I don't want to be the one that has to be that person. I know if they could mark where the dens are, if they could, I don't know if they could do sterilization like they do with the geese, if they could put trackers in them. Out by my parents, I know for bear, they hit them with a paintball gun, and it marks the animal so that they're able to say, okay, that one was counted. I don't know if that would hurt a coyote or not. I just don't feel that we should wait until somebody gets hurt. There's got to be something somebody can do, because if it's becoming a problem in all the surrounding towns, it's just going to build up and build up and build up, and then it's going to become something we can't do anything about. I'm a resident, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a voter, and I feel like these coyotes have more rights than I do. I just wanted to put this out there. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it, or if you can maybe get back to me at another time. I know there's other people here that might want to speak on the same issue.
Amy, I know we have been in contact with animal control, and I understand this time of year, they're just out there in packs. I know I've seen them too. I have seen them in the cemetery right behind my house. You know, I don't know what else. They haven't given us much guidance, right?
No.
No.
Maybe we could,
Can we call the county?
set traps.
Can we
Yes.
call the county?
Well,
and-
Yes.
maybe just that. I mean, I know with bears, they will trap them and relocate them. Maybe we could get someone
Immediately,
in
they'll
there.
do that, and you make a
Maybe.
phone call,
Yeah.
they got that
Okay,
bear, it's
guys.
gone.
So maybe we could,
One
get someone to come
conversation.
in there and set up traps, trap them,
I mean,
and relocate them out.
The county said they won't, when I talked to,
Yeah.
they
No.
said that they won't.
No.
They're basically saying they have rights to be there.
Yeah, well,
And
I'm
we
in
have to
agreement
adapt.
with you, Amy. I don't wanna see something bad happen before somebody does something. I know
And
in Saddle River or somewhere's up there, there was a rabid one that attacked a man.
Exactly.
and
I know.
I don't wanna see any of
I
that,
know.
you know,
They're not nocturnal, because they're out during the day too. They're out, no, because they ask, are they sick? I mean, I'm not gonna walk up to it and go, hey, how are you? They're not acting odd.
Right.
Like I saw 2 weeks ago, it was attacking a deer. Now, if it's attacking a deer, and, you know, my neighbor was with me, and we chased it, if it's going after a deer, what's to say it's not gonna go after my dog?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Sure.
What I would suggest, probably through the mayor's office, if, just like we have people come in to give presentations, if we can have the county, now, I don't know what division is Division of Wildlife, I'm sure they have all these subdivisions, maybe Carol Tyler from Tyco, who does a lot of the animal control throughout the county, can come in and say what can be done, what can't be done under the law, and if they have, like, apparently they've spoken to Amy, but if they have any thing that we can broadcast as to how to prevent interaction and what we can do, and ask if they can post, in fact, I mean, it's county property, if they can post signs. I don't know what the signs would say,
Well,
just to
just-
beware of,
Yeah,
it
just-
doesn't stop them, but, I mean, obviously, we've got to tell people that they're out there, a lot of people know, but there are a lot of people that don't know. But maybe if we can set up for our next meeting, if we could have the county, whatever division that is, come in and basically enlighten us about that. And I don't know, we have the Assemblyman, I don't know if anybody from a state level, because, the county may say, like, we're saying it's a county issue, and the county may say it's a state issue. So we have somebody from the state here, maybe we can, Mr. Eustace, if you can maybe contact somebody that you would know in the state Division of Wildlife to see if they would join us next month, or, can send some literature or some person to
And if we could
educate
just
us.
start, because I'm afraid of people taking matters in their own hands, because I've heard people talking, oh, I'll put poison out,
Sure,
oh,
to be
I'll
vigilant.
hunt them.
You want to
Well,
avoid vigilante.
that's what I'm saying, I don't want to see that happen either. I mean, we hear them hunting geese at night, it's horrible when they're killing other animals in the park. So I would just
Okay.
appreciate anything that you could do.
The State Division of Wildlife, they will come and do a seminar if we request through the state. So they did that in Maywood, Assemblyman Eustace just told me. So that would be a good idea. Yeah, sure.
Through your office, I guess, with Senator?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Janine Reingout, 258 Madison Avenue.
Yeah, be careful with
Florence. I've lived in Saddlebrook for 57 years. I'm a dead end. Property behind me is landlocked, it's town property, but we are having coyote issues also. I was sitting outside, this animal came up to my driveway and just stood there and stared at me. I have my 9-year-old grandson that lives with me. I have a little dog also. I'm afraid to let them out. They run up and down the block continuously. Like Amy was saying, we really need to get something taken care of. Like I said, the property behind me is between me and Bally's. That's town property. So that I'm asking the town to please look into this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa McAlevey, 56 Oxford Avenue. I've been in town for about 17 years now. Not here to talk about coyotes, but I am following that story and very concerned about that as well. I'm here to discuss something that Councilman Simaluka touched on, and that's sports in this town. I want to just read, I've been in touch with the mayor, I've talked to a few people, talked to the part-time sports rec commissioner. I want to read into the record correspondence that I had initially, because I really feel strongly about it. Dated April 16th this year. Hi, Rich and Joe. This is to Rich McKay and Joe Sedekase. Just a note to express my grave concern about Bill Grader's departure as a coach for our rec football program. You see, I did not, capital N-O-T, not want my son, Thomas McAlevey, to play football because when it comes to my children, I'm a bit of a nervous Nellie. If it were up to me, I'd have both my kids wear a coat of armor before leaving the house each day, and I think most parents can certainly appreciate that. But when Thomas wanted to play, we let him. And I was damn lucky to have my son encounter Mr. Bill Grader. Why? Because he had Tom's best interests at heart always. Tom never played quarterback, never became a star in his few years with the team. He was a B-team boy all the way, and he loved it. You see, he loved the game, the camaraderie of being with fellow players. And he grew as a player under Coach Bill and his assistant coaches. Thomas never was put in over his head, not once. And boy, did he learn a lot. He toughened up, learned to throw and catch. He even tackled a few big guys along the way. I could hardly recognize my timid little guy, all because he learned the game, the respect due to his coaches, teammates, and opponents. Now he's an athletic boy. Please know, in my experience, it's rare to find someone outside of your own family who would trust with the safety of your children. I found that in Bill. And if he isn't coaching, Tom isn't playing. And then I asked them to please respond to those concerns, and I'll just say eventually they did. And I was not really happy with the answers, but I give them both the respect of their positions. I just want to say, I think that people are here to do the right thing. You serve the public, you run for office, you serve as police officers. God bless the gentleman who served his country for so many years, who I see every year at the parade. And I well up, and I actually did post a picture of him and saying God bless on my Facebook page. I think we lose sight when we don't put our kids first, and it concerns me. I don't get to make the decisions. I do get to go to the polls. Bill Grader's a guy who I think got the short end of the stick. And Mayor, I saw you recently, and you were kind enough to point me to your column on nepotism, and I read it. And I just want to say I believe that that extends not just to family, but also to friends, and you know, it happens at all levels, and I hope that whatever you do as a governing board, you do it with the best interests of the kids in your hearts and in your minds always. And the only other thing I ever wanted to ask on this issue, because it does spill over, my son now plays lacrosse and he loves it, is when the job was opened, can you tell me how many people applied for the job of the part-time rec commissioner job or sports athletic commissioner job in this town? I'm not asking you to name names. I know the law. You have an attorney here. How many applicants did you get? That's all I want to know. You could shake your head no, but how many? Just one?
We didn't get.
Just the guy you went to high school with? Who I love, by the way. Good guy. But you hear what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but Teresa, no, we did not receive applications.
You didn't receive any? Did you receive a query from
Excuse me?
more than one person? A query letter?
Yes, yeah, there was
Did you
about 5 or
respond,
6.
have the dignity to respond to those people?
Sure.
You did?
Yes.
I'm not sure that's the truth, but if you say so, I'll believe you because I want to trust you.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
can you name somebody that I didn't send the letter back to?
Our current lacrosse commissioner, who's been a volunteer for years, he didn't,
He never expressed an
no?
interest.
Didn't send his certified
Not to
mail?
me.
No?
I got a
Oh,
letter
you
from,
got
I got a
something.
letter from him. The reason why it didn't go forward is because when on talking, it was, oh, if you make this person the rec director,
I'm just saying
you'll
if they
get.
got a
well,
response
okay,
on
I
the
get a response, but
application,
the reason
that's
why
all.
it wasn't chosen is because
Okay.
I felt it would have been me putting the hot spot for picking him because, oh, if you pick me, you'll get all the Gatorade, all the sponsorships.
Well, he
And
might-
me personally, listen, would he be a good person for that? Absolutely, but I didn't want to put myself in that position.
I'm not even asking about the decision to hire. I'm asking about whether somebody sent an application to the public and whether that person had the dignity of an answer from our governing body.
And yes,
That's
I
simple.
spoke to
I-
two people.
Did something
himself.
get mailed in, and did somebody get a
Yes.
response, or was it maybe nepotism that got the current person the job? Mayor?
No, absolutely not.
Not at all. I want-
Who are you referring to, Teresa? Are you talking about
I'm
the
talking
current
about-
recreation
I'm
director?
talking about the current
Football commissioner?
Vincent Cirillo. Did he apply for the part-time job that was referenced by Mr. Simaluka should be full-time, but we don't have the money for it?
Not that I know of it. And
Oh.
we're kind of
Well,
on a
then maybe
dangerous,
just
we're on a
try to
dangerous ground here. We're
communicate
talking about
better.
personnel.
Try to
And-
communicate
and
better.
the-
Oh,
Can you
yeah,
help me
let's
here?
close it on personnel.
Teresa, I'm not trying to close
Listen,
it on anything,
you
please.
know I've played this game before. I've been in the reporter's chair and everything else. Just have the dignity to be honest and do what's right for the kids.
Well, what are you
And-
saying, Teresa? What are you saying? Do you not like the current rec director?
I
What is it
love
that
Joe
you're saying?
Sedekase. I
Well,
think it
what
would
is
be
it?
nice if there was some communication, if my boy, who is now playing lacrosse, didn't, have the peril of will his tournament go on or not? Can they get vendors or not? Do the right thing for the kids is what I'm saying. And you know what I'm saying.
Yes, and I believe we are trying to do the
Okay.
right thing for the kids.
Out, open communication. Usually it's a process, right? You know. It's a
Yes,
process.
for sure. I
Process
may
where-
disagree with you on some of the
May-
things,
that-
but I
you can
can't talk
disagree
about
with
it. I
all you
can't talk
want,
about
But there should be
people.
a process where maybe the commissioners actually meet,
Yes,
Right.
and they do.
Maybe they
Teresa, they
don't-
do.
maybe we don't rehire people who stole from the, all in the public record, right? Just do the right thing.
We are
I
trying.
hope so. I really hope so.
Teresa,
Yes.
if I may comment just
Yes,
a little bit,
please.
please. I've been involved in recreation for probably 15 years. I coach baseball, football, wrestling. I'm kind of backing out of things because I'm just getting too old. But just as an insight, I had 4 boys, I still have 4 boys. They played sports their entire life. And one thing that helped them become better athletes, whether you want to believe it or not, was being coached by different coaches.
Absolutely.
My one son, from Pee Wee had a coach, juniors had a coach. I got to coach him 1 year. After that, it was into high school, and all these coaches really mold athletes. He had the opportunity to play in college. He played college football, and all I'm saying is, give things a chance.
Absolutely. I appreciate
Okay,
that.
thank
And I
you.
am, and that's why I let them play in the first place. Don't like the small-minded yanking people's
And-
chains
and
behind the scenes, and I think,
That we really don't do.
I hope. I
And
really, I want to
I've coached kids, I don't even have kids in the program anymore, and I'm still there.
understand. God-
Okay?
God bless.
So we do have the best interest of the kids in mind, for
Good.
sure.
Good, so you wouldn't be hiring somebody back or appointing somebody who maybe stole from the program in the past, who,
See, again, you're getting, I don't know who you're referencing to,
well, I don't
I'm
want to
sorry.
name names. I'm trying to take a higher road than I think some of the people have done.
I understand that.
know?
That's good.
know?
The only other thing I'd like to
And
comment.
look, he's a little guy, just went double digits on me, right? He's finishing 4th grade. Cursing, smoking, it's gonna happen. I don't necessarily wanna see that with the coaches hanging out, whatever. I'm trying to take the high road. What I'm trying to say is, not everybody loves everybody, they don't have to. Bill Grader had my kids back, and I appreciate that. And I understand nobody wants to hear his name again and all of that stuff, but it's a shame. Just do what's right for the kids.
And
Do
that,
what you were
and
elected
that's
to
what I'm
do.
trying to assure you is what we
I
do.
hope so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, just one sec. Mayor, do you want to? Do you want to suspend? Sorry.
Yeah,
One second.
why don't we do that, yeah.
You're going to do it
Why
now?
don't we do Steve? Why don't we do Steve? Yeah, let's after this.
Okay, we're going to have one more, and then we're going to suspend the open and then go right back.
All right.
Yes.
My name is Steve Titchener. I live at 368 Saddle River Road. And the reason why I'm here is I got this letter in the mail about the Orchard Place overnight parking restriction.
Yes.
I don't know how many people lived on Orchard Place in 1992, but that's when I moved into my house across the street from where there was a farm at one point in time. The developer that built those buildings was only supposed to build 3 buildings at the time, houses, and they squeezed in 5 into that lot. And they said that the reason why was the person that sold that property had an easement by the county that was supposed to be enforced to straighten the road on Saddle River Road and whip that nasty curve out of that road so that people wouldn't come flying down that road and do what they do all the time, which is bounce off the guardrail in front of my house, my next door neighbor's house, and the house next to us. If those houses were never built and that road would have been set back the way it was supposed to and that curve whipped straight, we wouldn't be having cars driving up into my driveway, smashing my car up into the next door neighbor's house's front porch. So for me not to be too sympathetic about people asking not to park on there, I can give you a little history. I was here before Hurricane Floyd and set half of my contents of my house outside in my front. I was here during Irene and set contents of my house out front. I was here probably 2 or 3 springs and set a third of the contents of my house out front, right? If those houses weren't built, I was told that they would make the street straighter, they would put better drainage underneath and through my property, which they didn't. I was told a lot of things. I was also told that our sewer system couldn't handle the amount of water in the lower part of the township, which I'm in, when they built the Mayhill apartments, is going into the same pumping station, and all those Mayhill apartments are pumping all that water into an overtaxed sewer system, and there's no way that you can not tell me that, because every time it rains hard, there's a sewer truck parked outside the sewer station over by the train station, over by the train tracks over on Mayhill, working furiously to try to keep that thing running. So if it doesn't sound like I'm sympathetic about overnight parking over there, I was promised a lot and nothing happened. Now, I never park over there, and I could give a rat's patoot practically of who parks there and who doesn't park there. But there was a lot of promises made. The only thing we got out of that deal was that they forced the houses to be turned back the other way so that at least I wouldn't have to look at the back side or the front side of the houses that sit on Saddle River Road. In 1991, when I got out of Desert Storm, I looked for a place that I could find a home or buy a home, and it was Saddlebrook that I came to, all right? And I bought a home there, and I know when you live by a river, you take chances. But before those houses were built, my property hadn't flooded since 1975. 1975. Do your history lesson. I got flooded out in Floyd, 2 April floods, and Irene. And it was only the grace of God. I carried all my stuff upstairs for Sandy, in preparation for Sandy, thinking it was going to flood. And fortunately, the storm turned the other way. So if you don't think I'm sympathetic about overnight parking over there, I think that you should let the world park over there. I really don't care.
Better late than never, right, Steve?
Hello, hey, I'm here.
Your wife's here too, right? Your wife came?
I came over to her husband as we marched down the praises last time, and my son was on the side. He said, "Hey, Dad, some people on the right-hand side here." So I leaned over, and she leans over to her husband, and she says, "He's still here?"
Well, that.
My son bust out laughing. I can't blame him. I bust out laughing also.
Okay, well, that's what we're here to talk about. Everyone, this is Steve Leszewski. Did I pronounce it right? See that? Got it right. As you can imagine, Steve is a very well-known person in town. He was very, very active with the senior clubs. He was on the executive board of the AARP. He was also a member of the senior advisory board. He volunteered at the senior center as this dance instructor. He taught line dancing, I believe, and some other dances, some of those fast-paced cha-cha dances since 1977.
No, not 97.
No, okay. Anyway, he was also very active as a parishioner with St. Philip's the Apostle Church. He was the secretary of the Holy Name Society for 30 years. He also volunteered at their annual festival and the weekly bingo games for over 50 years. Steve is a veteran of World War II. He was in the Navy Seabees from 1943 to 1945. He was stationed in Pearl Harbor. Now, Steve always says, every time you ask him this, and it's real, to me, it shows his honesty, but it shows his respect for other, I was going to say law enforcement, but no, other military personnel. But he always says that he never saw military action. And I think he says that, and he'll probably elaborate on it, but I think he says that because by the grace of God, he knows that he was spared that hardship. That, and I think he knows that he respects those who did fight, that did have to see combat. And he wants to recognize that they saw a little bit more action and that they were in harm's way. Although him being in the military at that time, during wartime, could have very easily saw action. So I think that says a lot about his integrity. He's a lifetime member of the Saddlebrook VFW, post 3484. And recently, he stole, I think, everybody's heart. When he came back for the 47th consecutive time, 47 times. See, Steve and his wife moved late last year to an assisted living situation. So he's not living in town anymore, but he told his family that he wanted to come back to march in that parade, and he did. He came back, and he did a great job. Now, what I want to know is, him and I, after the parade, I went to the VFW, he was there with his family, and we took some pictures together. And what I want to know is, how come I look in those pictures? I look like I just ran the marathon. And he looks like he could have walked the whole route again. What is it, Steve? I mean, you look at you. You're amazing. That uniform? Okay, I'm going to give you Steve now.
All you gotta do is you gotta keep dancing.
Keep dancing. All right. Steve, on your right is Assemblyman Timothy Eustace. He's a great man. Okay. Well, he's going to read a proclamation right now to you, okay? I have one, but his is better, so he's going to read you his, okay?
Just bear with me, Steve. It's a long resolution.
All lies.
Well, I have to say, near and dear to my heart that we honor you. My dad was a CB in the mid-40s in the Pacific Theater and served in the Navy, as did you, as a CB, and came out and was an iron worker for the rest of his life. So they built the landing fields in the Philippines and in Japan, and then came back here and did that for the rest of his life. I want to thank you for what you did. Give him a hand.
His father is the kind of guy that I met when I was in the CB. There were people who were professional, people who are builders. These guys were working men, and they were the guys that taught me when I was in the CB. That's why when people say to me, says, "Oh, thank you for your service," I said, "No, thank you. It was my pleasure. It was my honor, because it was a learning experience for me that I never forgot, and I was always grateful for."
Amazing, right? And we're honoring you because you are a humble and wonderful man, obviously, Steve.
Tell that to my wife.
Okay, you don't have to stay awake for the reading of this, but I'm going to start. This is a joint resolution from the legislature, whereas the Senate and General Assembly of the state of New Jersey are pleased to salute Steve Lazuski, an esteemed member of Garden State community in recognition of his military service and many accomplishments. Steve served our country with honor and valor in the United States Navy in the Seabees and was stationed at Pearl Harbor from 1943 to 1945. And Steve graduated at the top of his class from Pace Institute in New York, and he enjoyed a superb career that included his efforts with an import-export company and as a valued employee of Crystal Clear Communications in Little Ferry until his retirement. And in addition, Steve, who marched in the 2015 Saddlebrook Memorial Day Parade, has given generously of his time and energy as a member of and leader within the Boys Club of New York, the VFW Post number 3484, the Holy Name Society, the Saddlebrook Senior Citizen Center, I'm getting exhausted reading the list here, and the AARP legislation panel, and he has been a volunteer at St. Philip the Apostle Church from Big-O for a half century and at a summer festival for 30 years. And whereas Steve has been upheld in his life's efforts by his wife, Ginny, and he takes great pride. How about a hand for Ginny? And he takes great pride in his children, Rick, Bobby, Steve, and Lori. And whereas the people of the state of New Jersey are genuinely indebted to hardworking and inspiring citizens, personified by you, Steve, whose time and energies are devoted to improving the effectiveness of their communities and quality of life for their neighbors, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and General Assembly of the state of New Jersey, we hereby honor you, Steve.
Before you go,
Now, listen, like I told Bobby Kruger, even when he picked me up at the parades, and I told you last time at the VFW, this is my kind of town. I love this town. I always work for the town, and wherever I can, I like to be back here and work with the people, and just to let them know that I never forget them. VFW, the Saddlebrook Senior Club, the line dancers that I worked with for so many years, the St. Philip's Holy Name Society, I had the Bergen County Federation, and I missed that old cowboy hat of mine, and people say, hey, cowboy, give me some tickets for the 50-50. That's my kind. And a free beer at the beer counter.
Mayor, before Steve leaves, we have another resolution.
Hi, Steve.
Thank you.
You know who I am, right? I also have a resolution on behalf of the council to thank you for everything you've done. I'm not going to read it because it basically says what the Assemblyman and the mayor said. But what I want to do is I would like Sophie, could you just give me a minute here and come up and tell the story that you told at Halloween about the cruise so many years ago? Yes.
I'm here. How can I forget? Like what story are you going to tell them? Hope it's clean.
Yeah.
How many years were you doing?
We want to hear Steve's story.
Oh, no, it's in 1997 when we went to the cruise in Bermuda. I guess it'd be 17.
Everybody.
Steve, do you remember how it started?
How it started? The line dancing? Yes. We were going on a cruise, and we said, we're not going to be sitting around waiting everybody to get up and dance. Let's learn to do line dancing.
Because
because a lot of the women had lost their spouses.
That's right.
And Steve felt that a lot of people would just be wallflowers. And that's how the whole thing started. So with that, he said, let's try with right here at the center, and with the women that were going on that very first cruise. Sylvia DeJulia.
That's right. Sylvia.
Sylvia, here's
Sal,
Steve.
Sylvia and Sal. Sylvia was the co-chair with Ginny and myself as far as starting the cruise, and after that we had a whole bunch of cruises and outings where we always did a lot of line dancing and get people. It was the idea is to get things to do for seniors instead of sitting home, and that was our idea.
And it was a success. It's still thriving.
One of my most memorable moments is when the VFW. I always remember because this was a funny thing, and we had the VFW auxiliary put on a Hawaiian dance, and all the auxiliary women, including my first wife and Sophie and Rita Romaine, all the names I can't remember, and they dressed me up as Carmen Miranda, and because I was doing we're always dancing, and I put Mae West to shame. I mean, I was big, and I had all the food on my head, and that night when I danced around, at that time my brother-in-law, he didn't know, from Shinola, he was sitting down, and I walked up to his lap, and I snuggled him in there, and he didn't know what the hell to say. He didn't know who I was because they made me up. I looked so good in that, I thought I was going to stay that way.
I wish that everyone had, I'm his brother. I wish everyone had a brother like him.
No, that's my young. We're very, very close buddies. Every place we went, things we did, from kid stuff up to now. Ever since we were kids in the Lower East Side, when we swam in the East River together, for crying out loud. That's ages and ages ago. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. I mean, thanks again. And here's my
Here to say I love my husband, and I'm glad that he's still busy when he's doing things, and hope we have many a life together.
You bet, honey. Thank you.
I'd like to have a motion to open the meeting to the public.
I'll make the motion.
Second, all in favor? Aye. The meeting is now open to the public. Anyone wishing to be heard, come to the podium, state your name and address.
Hello. My name is Guy Halperin. I live on 230 Saddle River Road. I'm Amy's neighbor. I was with her 2 Sundays ago, I believe, when we saw this thing attacking something. You don't really know. I mean, it's just like a deer and a coyote. Okay. I can give you a lot of anecdotal little stories about different towns and what has been done and what you should do and how we should live with coyotes and everything. For the sake of time, I won't, but I'll maybe next month or whenever we do this. This is my first one. So,
Welcome.
Very exciting. I don't know if this happens like this every day. But basically, I understand what was said before and what we said we're going to do, but what we're going to get to is the guy's going to come from the New Jersey Wildlife something or other and tell us, first of all, you have a problem that is statewide. We know that. You have a problem, every town has it. We know that. What we don't know is that there are things you can actually do to get rid of it. And that's what I think we should be focusing on instead of discussing how to wave things in the air and yell at them and not hand feed them and not do things like that to attract them. But we should, I know there are 4 in my backyard, and there are a couple on the other side. I walk my dog in the morning, and in the winter, it's kind of easy because I take a high-power flashlight, and I can see the 2 blue eyes, and then the 6 other ones, that like pop out behind it. And I can tell how far they are, and I know how to yell at them and throw a stick at them, but that's me, that's not dogs that are in people's yards that don't know how to do that. It's not kids, this and that. So what I would like not just what the community should do to keep them at bay, but what we as a town can do to get rid of this one incident, or like a new, what's it called? A new development that happened basically after Irene and Sandy. So, for one little story, my wife was running with my dog in the morning, which they did every day, and right after Sandy, there were branches everywhere, thank God, 3 coyote came and encircled her, and were making motions to attack my dog. My dog freaked out, my wife freaked out, and she took a stick and started beating all 3 coyotes back. And that was 3 years ago, or whenever Sandy was, about 3 years ago. It's happening more and more frequently now. This is the problem. My neighbors on our road, which I see, walk with them all the time, they don't bring their dogs into the park anymore. Walkers on the other side of the river, while the new complex was built, there's like a little, little trails in the back over there. There's another den over there, and they attack dogs on the parking lot side of the park. So, this is a problem, and what we can say is now we're in phase 2, which means report aggressive fearless coyotes immediately, which we're doing, and then we could talk about when should I be concerned. So there's things when they just show up and you run them away, and there's also we're at stage 3, let's say. Coyotes are frequently seen during the day, which they are, appearing in yards on an increasing basis. They were in Amy's yard, mine, right next to mine, and others. But they flee when approached by people. Pets in yards can be attacked. The response is education, which is what you're doing. Okay, bring this guy in, and then consider a removal program, and then using negative stimuli, which is what the guys will tell us that's like what the community should do. Okay, and removals are with traps. You can do live traps. You can do Wile E. Coyote kind of traps. You get their legs and that. But we have to say that there's a problem. So what I would like you guys to do is to say that there's a problem. If you need more people from the community to come out and tell you that there's a problem, well, when we had E. coli or some kind of coliform bacteria in our water a month ago, you can send us a letter. Well, send us a letter now saying that there are coyotes here. What would you like us to do about it? And we can, go to stage 2 of not just, scaring coyotes away, which is not, because it's going to happen because if I told all my stories, we say we went from this, that, to someone being attacked very recently. So that's what I propose to do. Let's put stage 2 right away. Forget about stage 1. We need to do it, because once you get rid of the coyotes, no one's going to come back. It's just, that's the way it's been going for 50 years right now in New Jersey, all over New Jersey. And if we start a program which doesn't let these animals be visualized to the people, then it'll be effective. So we get rid of what's here, count them, get rid of them, and then when they come, the community knows what to do. Keep them away.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chair, can I ask?
Yes, sure.
Sir, is that like a website that you have?
Yes, it's called the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. Okay.
Could you just do me a favor? Do you have?
You know what? I'm going to make a package and email it to one of you guys.
Email it to Mr. Ladico. He'll get it to all of us because we have
Got
town emails. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Medea. I live at 271 Nedlis Drive. I'm a lifelong resident of Saddlebrook. Went to school here, played recreational sports here. Now I'm raising my 3 sons here, who have all been involved in the recreation department in this town. I've seen and witnessed many of the coaches move up with their children in all of the programs. And this year, my sons are going to be moving into the junior division of the program. So before the registration came out, as a mother, I emailed the commissioner, Rich McKay, asking him who the coach was going to be, what his qualifications are over the coach that we had, just to kind of see, do I want my kids playing on this team with somebody that is not as qualified as our previous coach. I was told it's my decision. If you don't like it, don't sign them up. As a tax-paying citizen of this town, I find it really disgusting that a commissioner who is put in a position not given any specific reasons for why this coach is in place. I was told he played football, and that was good enough. I found the email to be disrespectful in many regards. I then sent the email to our recreational director and never received a response back until I called the mayor and told the mayor, this is what's going on. Your recreation director couldn't even have the common courtesy to email me back and say, hey Jen, I got your email, looking into it, I'll get back to you. Couldn't even email me back, which I'm paying his salary, so are all the other people in this town, and I think he owes us all a little bit more respect than that. I want to know why the commissioner is allowed to make his own rules, why there's no board, why there's no secretary, why there's no treasurer. What is happening to the money I am paying for recreational football? Where's it going? We're told it's none of your business. We paid for a new field, $2.4 million for a turf field. 12 kids are not coming back to the junior football team this year because of this attitude. 12 kids. So that's $2.4 million we're putting towards this field, and there's not going to be a junior football team. Because it's his decision.
Jen, this is first for us, for me
Well,
anyway.
I've
This is-
spoken to the mayor about it. We were supposed to have a parent meeting, which was that we scheduled. We had one set. I got an email the next day. We have to reschedule it. Which at that point I said, you know what? We'll let you know. And we decided we wanted to come here, put it on the town record, because we don't want it swept under the rug. The people in this town deserve the right to know what is going on in the football program and with the recreational director. My son also plays lacrosse. Yesterday, we were supposed to be playing on the turf field. We weren't playing on the turf field because they were going to make it to somebody else. Then we weren't playing, then we weren't playing, then we were. I'm sorry, but if we're paying somebody for this job, let's get it together.
I agree.
It's a shame. It's a shame because I grew up here and I know that this town is better than this. And the politics that are going on in the recreational department, uncalled for. Uncalled for. And it's upsetting that my son was told, my three sons, don't come back. You don't like it, don't come back. And as a mother, I have a huge problem with that. Huge. So now I have to pay to go to another town to play football? When I'm paying taxes here, when I know that that money is getting allocated to football and the field and everything else. It's a disgrace.
I just
Excuse
wanna
me.
sh- I just want to
I would just like-
As the attorney to the mayor and council here, I just want to say if we're going to get into any specifics, there's laws regarding rights notice, and I don't, I would caution you against talking about any particular employee in that regard. Under due process and with regards to the rights notice requirements, they may have to be noticed, but, I mean, if you can answer any questions, of course, I'm not saying not to, but that's one thing I should just caution you about, personally on that.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
John,
I would
can-
just like to comment to you, I would like to just see you take a deep breath, and we have to try to renegotiate this meeting that you want to have, because I'm all for it too. And something good will come out of it. You're right, you do live in this town. I don't know you personally, I don't know your boys, but as a coach who coached football for 12 years, I want to see your boys play on our turf field. And I'm sure we can all come to an agreement to make that happen. That's all I really have to say. Okay, so just take a deep breath. Let's try to get that negotiation together and come there open-mindedly, and let's try to talk this out.
It certainly seems that communication is definitely a problem. There's been a couple incidents for us also. But we want all the children to enjoy that field. We don't want anyone going out of town. And we'll call a meeting with him and whoever else we need to bring in, and we'll get to the bottom of it. And I'm sorry for any disrespect that was shown you.
Thank you, I appreciate it, because you're the first person to say that to me. The first person. So thank you.
Jennifer, I'd like to say something. I wanted to have that meeting with you, and we did reschedule, and you did not get back to us. Can
I did get back to Christine and told her that we would give her a date.
Yes.
And at that point, we
But you
decided
never
as a
came back with a
parent.
date. But you never came back with a date.
Of course, because we want the town to know. We didn't want to go into the office like when we had the phone conversation and I kind of got placated as to, you know, this is how it is and I should let go of Bill Grader, when my problem was not the fact that it wasn't going to be Bill Grader, which my problem was the fact that I was totally disrespected by somebody in this town who holds a position and told me, don't sign your kids up.
Jennifer, let me finish my thought, please. We wanted to meet. We canceled because we couldn't make that date. We told you to find another date, and you never got back to us. What I'm trying to say to you is, that would have been a better solution than what you're doing here, because ultimately, we're gonna do that anyway. I wanted to do that, okay? I wanted to do that because I wanted the football commissioner to be present. What the attorney's saying is, that person has rights too. And if we're going to be talking about that person, their performance, they need to be present. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to get everyone together in a room and talk about it, okay? Now, you mentioned the disrespect in the email. I read the email, okay? And we discussed this. I vehemently disagree with you on that. I do not feel that the football commissioner was disrespectful to you. Okay, that's my opinion. Someone else, maybe the council might feel differently about that, okay? But the council president's right. It's a matter of communication, okay? We need to sit down and talk about this. But you know what? We may disagree on certain things, but we can hopefully come to some kind of resolution. I wanted that, okay? And I think the recreation director, Joe Sedecase, wanted that, okay? Now, I know he didn't get back to you on that one occasion, but he was spoken to, and he did call you, and he spoke to you several times after that. So, you know, there was a lot of other people calling on that same issue at that time. There were.
And that's their right to do that as well.
Yes, and I'm not saying it wasn't their right. Of course it's their right. But, you know, he was handling it with some other people, and he didn't get back to you, and he was sorry for that. And we did explain to you that we want to try to work it out. So, you know, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that this is being brought up, and hopefully something will be done. However, you know, and you did say to me about the one individual that I felt, and I had asked you, is this about that individual? And you said no, and I believe you. I do believe you. At first I didn't, but I do believe you, because we corresponded quite a bit, and I do believe that you have the best interest of the kids at heart, and so do we. So do we.
Well, that's why we came here.
Yes.
We
thank
wanted
you.
the town to know. We wanted the council to know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kim Sorello at 78 Brook Street. Been there for about 12 years. I have two kids, my son Vinny, who's 11, and my daughter Olivia, who will be 5 next week. To let you know, they're both in the rec area. And just to start things with, I actually put 2 pages together here, but before we even address that, I'm sure you saw me before get a little upset. I'm trying to pull myself together here because there's something that was said that's not true. My husband applied for that rec director position because he thought he could help out and help everybody out. He likes to help everybody. He sent certified letters to Karen D'Arminio, Arcomando, and the mayor, receipt. So he got the receipt of when they signed for them. Not one of those 3 let him know anything. That is very disrespectful.
Through Chair, we didn't get them sent to our house. They were sent to town hall, I believe. We didn't sign
They were
them.
sent to your house.
I did get one. It wasn't sent to my house. It was in a
He was able to get your addresses and he sent them to your house.
I'm just saying, mine didn't come
Okay.
And I honestly do not remember ever getting it. Look,
We have
I gotta let
receipts
it
of
go.
this. Okay.
Well, maybe you have a receipt, but I'm telling you, I did not receive anything from
So
Vincent
you're
Cirillo.
all telling me right now nobody received these.
I'm telling you, I did not receive it.
I received it.
Thank you.
To the chair. I received it, certified to my house.
Yes.
That particular rec director is the mayor's appointment. it does not need advice and consent with the council.
Okay.
So I did receive it, I did bring it into town hall, but that decision, the ultimate decision was the mayor.
And that's fine. It should be your decision, but we were very upset because not any out of the three of you, nobody responded to him. And Vinny's like, he was just elected, a new mayor. No common courtesy to let him know, and he does so much for this town. He does so much for the kids. Kids love my husband, what he does for lacrosse, and he did football with them. To not even get, sorry, we already have somebody. Your resume is very pretty, but we have someone. Nothing. And when I heard that, I went crazy.
If I received it. I did not receive it.
Okay, well,
somebody here might have signed for it.
It was sent to your house.
Well, I'm telling you, I did not get it.
Okay,
I'd
and
like you to
Arkamont,
show
you
me
didn't
if
get
you
it
received
either. Oh, you have it.
I do have it. I said that before. I did get the letter from Vinny, and I spoke to Vinny, and I spoke to Bill about the situation. So to say he wasn't spoken to is not true. I spoke to him and Bill about it. I've been speaking to Bill.
No.
Tracy can tell you, I've been speaking to Bill.
Maybe you spoke to them about a month ago, but you didn't speak to them when this went out back in January, whenever it went out, in December, January, whenever it was
And it really
one
is,
person.
as Councilwoman Darminio said, it wouldn't, the onus is on me, okay, not them. It's my appointment. It doesn't need advice and consent.
That's fine, but if
Okay.
they received it, you should have received it, and if they talked to you, if they received it, somebody could have let us know
Right,
somehow.
and it would have been nice.
Common courtesy.
I agree with you, but you know what I'm telling you is I did not get it.
All right, well,
I
that's-
spoke to people individually. I went and saw them and shook their hand and looked them in the eye and said, I am not making you, I'm making Joe Sedecase, the
Right.
rec director.
But before, when
Okay?
you
That's
addressed
the
the
way I
people,
handle it,
you
and I
just
would
said
have
there
done
was
that
no,
with
nobody applied for it, you said. That's why
did
I
not
stood
say
there.
that. I said about 5 people. That's what I
I
said.
didn't hear that.
Well,
Yes.
Okay.
The council
I'll
here,
listen to
please.
this next week on TV. I didn't hear you say that.
Kim, I
No,
just
I'm
have
not a
one
liar.
question.
Okay? I'm not gonna lie.
I'm getting
One
lost
at a
here.
time.
This issue is about the recreation commissioner.
Yeah.
This is about, I'm really getting lost. with
Okay,
this.
let me talk
Is it
what I,
about football
I
or
have
is it
2
about-
pages, so let me just read what I wrote. I'll try to make this brief. It's a little long, but I'll talk as quick as I could. So I have to say, I really wasn't sure if I was coming tonight or not, but what my deciding factor was we had a little problem this week, and we've had a little bit ongoing problems with scheduling. My husband sent the schedule in December, January. These schedules are done way in advance for lacrosse. And, you know, knowing that he volunteers so much of his time, I mean, he's the commissioner. He goes to all 3 of the team games. He just dedicates all his time. We have people knock on our door. They want to play more. It's just incredible. But the problem we had this week, one of the other girls mentioned it, we had a game scheduled on Wednesday for the turf. It was their last game, all 3 games with Clifton. We find out, I believe it was Sunday or Monday, you can't play on the turf. I'm hearing my husband talk to somebody, you can't play on the turf. And then we find out, and you can't play anywhere else. It's the kids' last game, all 3. Then at the last minute, it was changed again so they could play on the turf. I don't know about you, but that's a little crazy. That's what brought me here tonight. Okay. So I'm going to read my stuff now. All right, so I feel like there's a big disconnect between the council, rec department, and town sports. Being prepared and effective communication play a big role here. My husband, Vinny Cirillo, is the commissioner for lacrosse for the last few years. Everybody loves him. He does a lot for everybody. He submits all necessary paperwork. He handed everything in, like I said, in December, January, when he was supposed to. So can someone please help me understand why up until the very last lacrosse game, we constantly have issues regarding scheduled games on scheduled fields? Hey guys, what you put us through this week was unacceptable. First we have the field, then we don't, then we have it again. You know Vinny is very passionate, committed, and loyal to all parents and kids in lacrosse. Don't be difficult with him. It's just not right. He's volunteering his time, a lot of time. I feel as though things started to change when we had football issues with what coaches were coming back. Due to football issues regarding safety and my son's choice to play elsewhere, we are playing out of town. And for the record, Coach Bill Grader, along with my husband, he was an assistant coach for Bill, they were really good football coaches. The kids loved them. They should have moved up to the juniors. I mean, some of the other coaches changed teams as well. In closing, I believe town politics should not play a role in town sports. You're only hurting the kids. And if any of you guys have never seen a lacrosse game before, we're having a huge tournament this weekend. Over 50 teams are coming. It's phenomenal. Saturday's the big one all day. Sunday it's a half a day. You gotta come and check it out. It's the up and coming sport. The kids love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good.
Kim, I just wanted to comment again, on the field and scheduling. Let's give it a chance. The field did just open up. You know there's gonna be some bumps in the road as far as scheduling. I mean, I could tell you a story too. I have my youngest boy, he's 15. Okay, it's his last year playing baseball. We played one game on the field. I'm not up here to complain. It's just like I say, bumps in the road. The field did just open up. There's gonna be a little bumps until the scheduling gets out.
Okay.
Give it a chance.
All right, that's fine. I don't mind. I think Joe's a nice guy. I don't have any problem with him, but you know, when things started to happen, all start trickling down, I've had a few parents come up to Vinny when I'm present, and they actually, this brought me here as well. They said, Vinny, previous commissioners of other sports have said, somebody really doesn't like you in this town. So when I heard this, I'm like, this is ridiculous. What am I hearing? I mean, we're talking 5 or 6 people came up to us and said this. So I said, you know, because they said that's not normal for them to, you're getting a field, you're not, you're doing this, you're not. And frankly, all right, so if you don't get the turf, you don't get the turf, give us a different field. We did get it at the last minute, but there's been some ongoing issues that, you know, Vinny took care of. But listening to it, it upsets me because of all the time we're volunteering.
No doubt.
I have to say, should he continue or not? He loves it, I'm sure he will.
It'll get better. It will. It really will.
Miss, I'm just wondering, and the feelings aren't hurt or anything like that, but was there any particular reason that the letter was only sent to 2 out of the 5 council people?
The letter for?
The letter from Vinny, from your husband, about
He
that
sent it to
particular
3 for the rector. He said, let me, you know, put my name out there, see what happens. I'd be excellent at it, so he put it out there. He only sent it to Mayor White, Archimondo, and the Arminio.
Yeah, but my question
Why
is,
did he do that?
Was there any particular, I mean,
I
I
don't
know your
know.
husband, and I've never had a problem with him.
Yeah.
I consider him a friend.
You
But
should ask
I'm
him.
just, you know, was there a particular reason, or just was it an oversight, or was it, he didn't think that?
To send it to
he would
everybody?
have any input into that, or, I'm just trying to figure out
I have no
why.
idea.
No, when I see
Ask
him,
him
I'll
over
ask
the
him.
weekend in
I
our
will.
big
I'll-
tournament.
I'll be at the lacrosse tournament,
Yeah.
don't worry. Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tracy Grader, 181 Evans Place. I know most of you. And Joe, you mentioned earlier about you coaching throughout the years in town and with your boys growing up, and you coached different levels and moved around. Although I wrote a lot of stuff to say, I wasn't sure if I was going to stand up and say something, but since I have such good support from moms that are here and moms that couldn't make it, I feel like I have to. My husband is Bill Grader, and that's how this whole thing started. To tell you a little bit about Bill, my daughter is 15, and he started helping volunteer coach when she was about 4. So he's been around for about 11 years in all different sports. He started with rec football probably when my other son was back in 2nd grade, and then he dropped out, and now we have my little guy playing. He took on the Pee Wee 7 team after the coach at that time was ran out by several parents. So he took over heading up the Pee Wee 7 team about 4 seasons ago. He took it on a 2nd year. Then the following year, he moved up to the Pee Wee level. There was a small amount of kids for the Pee Wee 7 team, and that coach decided he didn't want to have the team. My husband took on the Pee Wee 7 team as well as the Pee Wee team. And for those of you that have been involved in football, that's not an easy task. He had to make sure that the kids all got equal playing time, that whether it was the regularly scheduled game, he got in a Pee Wee 7 level game, or he got them a B game. And in this town, B games are not really that promoted, and he made sure all kids got fair playing time. He then took it on for yet another year. So for 4 years, he stayed with the little guys. At the end of last season, he asked if he could move up. What coach wouldn't want to move up and go to another level? How long can you stay with the little guys? And I've been around long enough to see plenty of coaches have moved up from level to level. He was told, no, he couldn't move up as the head coach of the junior team. It would be due to pecking order. I defined that for you, but I really don't know why it would be called pecking order, because I find it kind of ridiculous to call it that. So he was pretty much told no. He waited until the end of the season, and he waited till the new mayor was elected and Joe was put into position, and he called them both. He did meet with them both and told them his concerns and why he thought he was better qualified and should stick around and should be given the junior level. I know you guys discussed it, you thought about it, and came back and said, we're not going to overrule what the rec director is saying. He's going to be allowed to pick his head coaches. It didn't sit well with me. I did go to Joe, and Joe was really good about getting back to me. We talked several times. In the end, it just was going nowhere. Joe did suggest that he get together with my husband and the rec commissioner, but that was kind of put to bed because this decision would not be changed. You, the mayor, and Joe also suggested to Bill, well, why not go to another level? Okay, so my husband said, then I will stay with the Pee Wee. There's still kids I know playing back. Why not work with the little guys? So he said, I'll take the Pee Wee team. Nope, sorry, we gave it to somebody else. How about I move up to the senior level? Well, that's not going to happen. And it's not a matter of being head coach because you want to be head coach, but there's more that comes to being head coach than just the title. And to just throw somebody out there and not know, like I mentioned, having to schedule B games, there's a lot more that goes into it than just standing there as the head coach. My husband gave a lot of time. He's a great coach. He has a lot of kids and parents that really, really respect him and like him as a coach. I just asked, and I was pretty certain that the council was not aware of what was going on. And although I was gonna be part of Jen's meeting, the dates weren't working out, and we did choose to come here and let everybody know what was going on. I just would like to say I would like to have that discussion revisited. Aside from pecking order, and I'm going to throw this out there, the pecking order, the person that was being given the position due to pecking order is a relative of the rec commissioner. I'm not here to bash anybody, I'm not even using names, but I'm just telling you it was a relative, and considering council has just been talking about nepotism, maybe not such an important thing in a rec sport, but that's where my husband is getting passed by, not for any other reason. And I think someone that gives so much time and is so devoted to the kids and has such passion and heart about the sport itself. He's done training on his own, paid for it out of our pocket, brought it to the attention of the football program. And now that program that my husband did the training on himself is being rolled out, which is a great thing, but he's given it credit to somebody else for doing that. My husband did the training back last fall. So these are all things that I think should be considered when choosing a head coach for a position, not just based on who you know. And is it always such a bad thing if somebody moves up from team to team? I don't know. I think you've seen coaches do it through the years, and it's worked out. So that's my thoughts on it, and I just had to be here to talk for my husband. He's left it alone. He's stayed out of it. You know, he said we had to say, and I didn't feel like it got enough talk about it, and that's where I had to just not let it go.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Tracy, I would just like, again, to give you some of my own personal experience. 4 boys, I did not coach them all, okay? I kind of stayed at one level, and when my boys got up there, I did get the opportunity to coach them 1 year, 2 years at best. And that's just the way it's been for me. So I'm just giving you my personal on what happened as me as a coach. And it isn't all that bad. It isn't all that bad not to coach your own kid. Let somebody else work with them. And when he rolls up or comes up, then it's your turn.
Oh, and I totally agree. And I have 2 boys, and you coach my older one.
They're great kids.
And they are great kids. And you know what? Actually, I forgot to mention, as she said, there are 10 to 12 kids that will not be playing. And it initially started out in support of my husband, and I think that speaks volumes. I'm not happy with the decision, and I personally am taking my son from the Saddlebrook Rec Football Department program. Now, what I'm doing with my older son, I have yet to decide, but my little guy will not play, and it has nothing to do with that he has to have my husband as a coach, because you know my son, he is not somebody, there's no daddy ball there. He earns his spot, he earns his play time, he knows the game. I feel strongly about this. I feel my husband was blocked out. He, after being told he couldn't get to the junior team because of pecking order, he offered, let me go back down to the Pee Wee level. I'll be happy to stay there. And then he was told, nope, you can't. How is that fair? He is completely pushed out from coaching, as well as his coaching staff. And he had a great staff. He had a kid. My husband brought on somebody from, he met at a summer basketball program that was coaching my boys there, and started talking to him. And the kid graduated from Paramus Catholic. He played football. He brought him on. And now that seems to be, there's a lot of them, which I think is great, high school kids coming back and coaching. But this would be the third season he would have brought this young guy back. And none of them have spots now, including Vin Cirillo, who was also one of the assistant coaches to Bill. So I would, you know, if the meeting is going to take place and it's going to be revisited, I think that would be a great thing, and have all parties involved and not just be swept under the rug.
Well, the only other question I have for you, Tracy, is you did mention the senior team. That is my team, and no one's ever approached me about your husband coaching with me. So.
And that's kind of what he got told several times when he said.
But did he approach me? Did he? I mean, I didn't get any.
Well, according
feedback on that whatsoever.
According to it, it's Rich's decision. So he went to Rich, and then my husband just said, "I'm not going to fight it anymore. I'm not going to continue to keep asking for something." And I was there. I heard the conversation. Some of it was via text, and it was just every angle he went. Nope, sorry. Would Bill do great coaching with you? Absolutely. But when he put different things out, he was pretty much shot down for everything that he asked for. And I don't really see a valid reason for him to be able to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Nancy Murray, Pine Avenue. No, I'm not going to talk about rec. My kids are grown and adults now. What I've read recently about a lot is the nepotism ordinance that was voted on, then, you know, it's voted down. I read the mayor's editorial in the paper regarding the ordinance and how we would want it structured. And I was here on Tuesday night for the work session and heard Mr. Sumaluka re-entering something with revised wording and things like that. And I think if you're going to have it, you have to have it. It's one of these things that you have it or you don't. You don't pick and choose who you can have it for, okay? It really is, if you look at any corporate nepotism, you know, wouldn't be an ordinance, but it would be a policy. You can't have a direct supervisor that's a family member. So basically that's what you should be looking for. And it shouldn't just be elected officials, and it shouldn't just be this or this or you shouldn't have the same, you shouldn't have family working under somebody else who could make a difference. It's bad for the family person, and it was mentioned, these words were not only mentioned in my thoughts, they were talked about at the council. It's not only bad for the family member, because they are insinuated to only get their position because of who they are. But it's also bad for the other people in the department or who work alongside of them, because then if it does to them, someone's doing a good job, well, they're only doing a good job because they know somebody. So it's not good morale overall. So if you can come to the right wording, it would be great. But the one thing I heard raised on Tuesday night was the fact that, you know, you don't want to do something because it's hard to get volunteers. Well, there's a lot of talented people in Saddlebrook, okay? But people do not know what's needed or who to see if you want to volunteer. Planning board, zoning board, rec board, they don't know. They assume it goes to people who know people. What you really should be doing is putting out or keeping a list, and to put out on the list what qualifications you need to do something, okay? You have a list and you keep it in the town hall. You can refer to it when any point in time. You can ask people to put in their qualifications and ask, what they're interested in. You have talented people in this town, talented people who would volunteer if they knew it wasn't a political thing, a friend thing, a who you know thing. If it was really going to be, I'm looking for somebody who wants to volunteer, who wants to give their time, and by the way, they have an interest in it. And if you started to keep that list and published it, even on the website, and ask people to put in their qualifications, and if they're interested, you could run a list. And so when you get to a place where you need to look for people, you would have a pool of these people who are ready to volunteer. But you also have to be able to say, if you want to do this, this is what the task entails. Give them some little details. When does it meet? How often does it meet? What do you expect from them when they do this volunteer position? It's not that hard, but if you get a pool of people together, and you have a running pool of people that you can look for, and you can look to, and you can interview to see if that person fits, it's just a matter of people assume, and the word assume is big here. They assume it's because you get something because it's who you know or who you're family with, and that's not always the case. That is not always the case. And I can say that personally. It's not always the case. So I would suggest that you think about it and you see if there's a way to put that together and get people to volunteer. Because then you'd have the volunteers that you think you don't have, but you really do. These people just need to know that you want them and you're willing to take people who may not be the same political party. And that would get you a lot of volunteers. Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. Yes.
Just for people who don't know, Nancy is a member of our zoning board of adjustment. And she is, and like she said, she doesn't know anybody, she's not related to anybody. And I can tell you how she eventually got on there because she came to meetings, zoning board meetings, planning board meetings, council meetings, and she gave her opinions on things. And sometimes I didn't agree with her opinions, but they were always on point, concise, and precise. And when an opening came, she was one of the people that were considered, and she's, as far as I know, has been a great addition to our zoning board. So thank you for your volunteers.
Nancy, I think it would be a great idea to put it on TV, Mayor, on, when there are openings on the board. Great idea. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christina Francis, 364 Saddle River Road. I live directly across the street from the Orchard Lane, so I'm here to talk about that parking ordinance.
Okay.
I might be a little unprepared because I wasn't planning to come up, but I'm asking that you vote no for it. My house is directly across the street from it, and to be honest, there's no parking on Saddle River Road, as you all know. If I have guests over, if I have overnight guests over, or if I'm having a gathering at my house, family members, friends, I have about room for 2 cars in my driveway. That's it. Where are they going to go? I don't want to have to kick people out at midnight. Not that I'm having crazy parties all hours of the night, but however, I shouldn't have to kick my guests out or my family members out at midnight to go move their car across the street because there is absolutely nowhere for them to park. So I just want to take the time and say, please vote no on the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is George Zia, and I live in 358 Saddle River Road. I'm very new to this town. I got the blessing of purchasing my home within a year. Little background on me, I lived in Garfield for all my life. I served my country for our United States Army, right? I was stationed in Fort Knox, Kentucky on the tanker. Then got to the Iraqi freedom for 2 years, MP. And then I finished my career in the military as a scout. Now, when my family and I searching for a good home, found Saddlebrook, right next the town over. I love the town. Love the fact that my kids are able to go outside and play. Right, I have 3 daughters. So when the time came, right, I have a tenant. Right, I'm on the 2nd floor. I live right across the Orchard Lane. Right, and I'm here to discuss the whole restriction on parking, right? So the fact that I never saw a problem with the whole parking situation until my tenants actually started parking across the street. They were courteous enough to give me that driveway, right? That way I don't have to have my children crossing that busy street back and forth. So again, I very new to this town. I haven't seen coyotes or anything like that yet. Hopefully I don't, right? But I seen people on that street actually putting garbage cans on the parking spot. That way, so people won't park there, which I find no point whatsoever. If I need to park there, I will remove those garbage cans and park and park there, right? But again, I'm here so that you guys could vote no to the restriction. Again, I have, like Christina said, I also have a driver that fits 2 cars. I have people over, right? I have tenants, right? They need to park right on that street, right? Again, glad to be here, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ashley Slagle from the Passaic Valley Sewage Commission, and I'm here with Rosanna Da Silva from Rutgers Cooperative Extension. Hi, Andy. From Rutgers Cooperative Extension Water Resources Program. We're here to talk to you today about our new green infrastructure program. We came at Mayor White's invitation to discuss the program with you. We know that New Jersey is very highly urbanized, and we have a flooding issue, which is mostly due to impervious surface. The more people we have living here, the more roads we have, the more buildings we put up, there's nowhere for that water to go. So there's this new initiative, the gentleman who's got flooding issues. There's this new push by the DEP and the EPA to promote green infrastructure. It's ways of getting that storm water to recharge back into the ground before it reaches the rivers. If you can't get it to infiltrate back in the ground, you try to hold it back so that you're missing that peak flow in the middle of the rainstorm, and then you can release it slowly back into the system, or you can use it for other uses later on. So let me just tell you a little bit about PVSC. We're the 5th largest wastewater treatment plant in the country. We're located down in Newark, and we serve over 1 million residents in 48 municipalities in 5 counties. We have both separate and combined sewer systems. Saddlebrook is a separate system. You have a set of pipes that carries your sanitary waste from your homes and your businesses down to PVSC for treatment. Then you have another set of pipes that runs from your storm drains in the street and from your parking lots that carries that rainwater directly out into the nearest water body. What happens is, in a very strong storm, those systems get overloaded and the water backs up. You could get flash flooding in your intersections, in your driveways, and anywhere else in your town. So green infrastructure can partially alleviate some of those problems. Another issue is that stormwater carries pollutants into our water bodies. And according to the DEP, over 60% of the pollutants in New Jersey's water bodies are from stormwater runoff. So the more we can do to kind of reduce the amount of stormwater going into our waterways, the better quality of life we'll have, because we'll have less flooding, the better ambient water quality we'll have. So what we did a couple years ago was PVSC partnered with Rutgers Cooperative Extension. They have been promoting green infrastructure throughout the state for many years now. And we came up with this new green infrastructure program. We've got 3 main objectives. It's municipal outreach and education, community-based technical assistance, and then green infrastructure demonstration projects that we're putting in throughout the district. We started our outreach and education portion by having informational meetings a couple years ago by county. Saddlebrook was actually one of the first towns to show up at that Bergen County meeting and said, yes, we're interested in finding out what we can do to kind of help alleviate our flooding problems in the town of Saddlebrook. So we started working with them under the last administration, and we'd like to continue working with you guys now. After we got a few towns on board, we went in and we started educating the municipal officials, environmental commissions, green teams, anyone who would be involved in stormwater management. And Rutgers came in and started doing some green infrastructure feasibility studies. It's individualized for your municipality. They do site visits on ground with municipal officials who have some background knowledge. And we're asking for any digital resources that you may have, any mapping that would help us to find the best locations for green infrastructure. In exchange for development of that plan, we're asking that the municipality agree to put in 2 projects in that plan within 2 years of the completion of the plan. That way we're not just planning, we're actually doing. And if we can get 48 communities to put in 2 projects each, that's got a huge cumulative value in terms of stormwater reductions. So just last week or the week before, we did our first 2 demonstration projects. PVSC funded 2 rainwater harvesting cisterns. One was in Patterson to collect rainwater for school number 5's community garden. And the other one was down at Greater Newark Conservancy. And we're adding more demonstration projects as we go. And again, we're asking each municipality to do 2 projects of their own. Rosanna's going to talk a little bit more about what green infrastructure is and what it can do.
Thank you.
It's all right. So we've actually been working in Saddlebrook for quite some time. We met back here first in 2013, I believe it was. So we've walked around the town. We've gotten some data back from you guys, and we've started developing this feasibility study. So what we're really talking about is permeable pavements. We're talking rain gardens, rainwater harvesting systems, stormwater planners, and bioswales. Now I know that's a lot of jargon that you don't know, but it's actually pretty simple. Some of these things you can do as homeowners right in front of your yard. There's actually a free app for rain gardens. Download it on your smartphones, Androids, iPhones, they all work. So pervious pavements, where there's about several different types. These can be done on municipal lots when you're actually going back to go and repave them instead of repaving them. Think about alternatives. Pervious pavement is an alternative. You're looking at, there's porous asphalt, there's pervious concrete, permeable pavers, even grass pavers. All of them have an underlying stone reservoir, and the idea behind pervious pavement is really just to detain that peak flow, to reduce that flooding, to allow time for the stormwater to finish and allow it then to drain down to end up at PVSC. So that's one way of thinking. You can also do this for driveways. You can do it for any access roads that you just need, like for a fire lane. We've seen it done behind, we've actually worked with DPW on putting it on their lanes. We've also done projects out in Kenilworth and Clark where we put some of these permeable pavements down and allowed for a vehicle wash and attached a large cistern to use that, reuse stormwater, so you're not paying for water to clean these vehicles and allow those, the water that you use to go back into the ground. So when we talk about green infrastructure, we're really talking about how do we get the water cycle to act the way it did before we started building our homes and building parking lots and driveways and roads. So rain gardens, which is something you can simply do in your front yard, it can be as small as 100 square feet, and it can manage a lot of water over a course of a year. Rain gardens are a shallow landscape depression. They're designed to capture and infiltrate stormwater runoff. It combines settling of detention basins with physical filtering and an absorption process. Essentially, think of a rain garden as a bathtub in front of your house that drains within 24 to 72 hours and allows that water to completely infiltrate into the ground versus running off into the sewer system. Rainwater harvesting systems, another thing that you can do in front of your house is it can be as small as a 35 to 55 gallon cistern or rain barrel. Typically you can actually buy them on Lowe's and Home Depot. They start carrying them, a little pricey, but you can also find ways to retrofit a garbage can and make that into a rain barrel. You're looking at taking your downspout from your gutter, cutting it to make a disconnection, holding that water and using that water for non-potable reasons. You want to water the grass in front of or the plants in front of your house. You have muddy shoes that you don't want to get into the house. You can wash your shoes with that water instead of turning on the spigot and then paying for it later. You can also go as large as a couple of thousand gallons of water, really. We've installed, actually the one that we did in Patterson was about 2,500. We've done as large as 15,000 gallons at the Raritan Valley Community College to work for the irrigation system instead of actually paying for water. So there are different ways to think about using our stormwater as a resource rather than just a nuisance. So we're essentially asking for you guys to consider partnering with us, coming up with a resolution to look at green infrastructure in the city of town.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, maybe we could combine the river, the
Sure.
issues we're having and whatnot. I mean, on a larger scale, they are.
Sure, we've been working with Passaic Valley Sewer, and they've been very helpful.
Yep.
And it's something that I would love to continue doing. I think we could commit to 2 projects. I can't speak for the council,
Yeah, sure.
but.
I just want to say the 2 projects would be any projects of your choice. The plan will list maybe 20 sites and different types of green infrastructure you can use at each one. There'll be public properties that'll be easily accessible. We've already met with one of the teachers at the school, I think the middle school maybe? Can't remember. That's it. We met with him. He was interested in some rain gardens possibly on the school property. You can get the kids involved. You can get people to donate plant materials. It doesn't have to be a big lift. All we want to see is projects going in the ground because the cumulative value is really what we're looking for.
Great, awesome.
And Mayor White and Mr. Lodico both have a copy of an
Yes.
interagency agreement that we ask each municipality to enter into. Some towns just decided to sign the agreement with their business administrator or their mayor. Some towns opted to pass a resolution. We kind of leave it up to each town how they want to do it. But so far, we've completed 5 of these studies. You can find them online along with other information for the program at water.rutgers.edu/PVSC. It took me 2 years to learn that. So.
Great, thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ashley,
Yes.
I just wanted to mention too, I think the council president was alluding to this before about, we are instituting a flood advisory committee.
Yes, you had mentioned that.
Right, and
Right.
we're actually meeting, I don't have my notes in front of me, I think the 23rd
Okay,
of this month.
that's great.
So maybe you can come to that meeting as
I
well.
would love to. Send me, you have my information, correct?
Yes.
Send me an email and I'll try to make it. Yeah,
Thank
we'd
you.
love to be involved.
Yes, but that's. Yes, we have been putting it out there on the television, on SBC TV and the website, Facebook, in the paper, so we would love to have you come. join us. Okay.
I just want to
Thank
say,
you.
so no one's disillusioned, that green infrastructure, a couple projects are not going to stop the Saddle River from coming out of its banks in an Irene situation. But in a storm like we had earlier this week, where we had a lot of rain in a short amount of time, if you can retain some of that and hold it back, it'll make a big difference over the long term. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Mr. Pepper? Oh. Larry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Good evening. Benny Pepe, 3 Orchard Lane. Good evening to Mayor White, Chief Kugler, Council President Mazzer, council members, and of course, our residents. I would like to preface my thoughts after our first reading on the resolution about 3 Orchard Lane by just stating that I found it very heartwarming for the folks here, everybody, to acknowledge the veterans. I too am a veteran from Korea, and as such, it's always nice to hear public, kind words. Not that veterans look for it, and they really don't, but it's nice to hear. So with that, we're here to speak about the situation at Orchard Lane. So once again, I appear before the council members, Mayor White, Chief Kugler, Pete Lobico, to thank each of you for your consideration and assistance on behalf of the residents that reside at Orchard Lane. A substantial degree of progress is evidenced by the markings of our chief and the DPW who so kindly visited the site and made vast improvements. The cul-de-sac curb lips have signs of no parking here at the corner, together with the no U-turn signs. And this indeed is of much help. Keeping in mind that this undersized cul-de-sac currently has 5 parking spaces for 23 residents, of which approximately 15 residents drive. Somebody mentioned that they don't care if the whole world parks there. And somebody else mentioned that, you know, it's sort of okay to park there. And I question those comments, and I question them not only because we also have large families, but we do not have parties lasting beyond and above midnight, ever. Residents that do in fact rent across Saddle River Road do have such parties. I cite as an example May 9th, my grandson's 4th birthday, in which my children and my family visited and could not find parking. Now there is parking. Somebody said there is not parking. Young people can take a walk to Rochelle Avenue and park their vehicles on public streets. But for non-residents to take up 2 to 3 spots, leaving residents with 2, is just unfair. It's just not proper. It's just not right. And believe me, I only come before you to stand up for the things I believe in, the things I think and know to be right and worthwhile. I'm a resident of Saddlebrook for about 45 years. My children live in Saddlebrook. My grandchildren live in Saddlebrook, all through the Saddlebrook public school systems. And they find it indeed, although they appreciate the improvements thanks to the chief, you folks, and the mayor, the improvements that have been made. Of course, we're always going to have that sharp curve where people literally pull in speeding. That's a concern, but I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that. People that ignore stop signs, don't know if there's anything that can be done about that. The speed of vehicles coming in and out, don't know, just don't know. But I do know a couple of things. And the worst thing that really got to me last week was the fact that a person, across the street, and I don't lie, I don't stretch the truth, ran over as me and my wife sat in the driveway midday, ran over intentionally our garbage cans. that person that resides across the street yelled across the street at me, "Hey, old man, park in the handicap parking. That's what it's there for." I ignored that. But personally, I can't ignore it. It bothers me. It bothers me tremendously for young kids to act childish and behavior uncommon. And someday, I hope, they are blessed with health for many, many years to come. That much being said, yeah, 5 parking spots for some 15 drivers and 23 residents. For people to just park there day and overnight is not proper. And it's not a matter of 5 homes paying over $70,000 annually in taxes. It's a right, it's the fact that they do have driveways, admittedly, and they park in their driveways whenever the 5 parking spots are being utilized. So there isn't a problem with them parking in their own driveways. But a lot of this is sheer spitefulness, unnecessary behavior that I, for one, as a resident, and my family and the other residents find it very difficult to face and to deal with on a daily basis. I did find that the emergency vehicles, the DPW trucks, the sweepers, etc., have a lot easier access, at least to now make a turn instead of backing out. Thanks to the chief, thanks to the council, thanks to the mayor. We find, however, that of the 5 parking spots, a couple of them people are able to squeeze 2 vehicles into that are non-residents and cover the lips of resident driveways. That's hazardous, that's dangerous, that is outright wrong. And that, again, is just spiteful. Given the fact that they do have driveways, they can use them, they do use them, only when it's convenient for them to use their own. I've heard my neighbors state to me that these folks that reside elsewhere have said that they have friends in high places in Saddlebrook, and they will call News 12 to visit the site. You know, be our guest. That's why we have a council. Our council aren't about News 12. Our council members are here to serve us purposely, without hurting us. But just considering the fact that what we're up against with the abusive language, with the parking situation, with the hazards that come along with it. And not to prolong this too much longer, but in any event, that's our sentiments, the residents of Orchard Lane. So, that being said, again, I am one to watch these sessions, everyone on a belated fact, on Channel 77, each and every session. The last 2 sessions I have attended and appreciate your consideration and appreciate your concern. And I am one not to stir any pots. In 45 years, I've never had a complaint. Really haven't, or I would have came here. I think this is important. I think this is what matters. And I think we gotta pick our spots and stand up for what's right. And if you don't wholeheartedly and sincerely believe it's right, I'm not gonna come before you folks and try to make it correct and right for me, for my justification. No. I'm doing this for children, grandchildren, for safety reasons, for vehicles, emergency vehicles particularly, and just the residents that reside there and feel absolutely 100% the way we do with 5 parking spots. And again, there's been a vast improvement. Some things will never change on that curve, and we understand that, so we keep our children away from that. In any event, so thanks for your service again, your zeal in doing what's right, and the safety and concern for the residents. So Godspeed to each and every one of you, everybody here. And I wish everybody comes out with their best foot forward to assist and help us. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Pepe.
Larry retired, check 92 Claremont Ave. I know we're not supposed to speak directly to a resident, but Mr. Pepe stated that he's a resident 45 years. I'm a resident 57 years. I don't believe I know of any street in Saddlebrook that is a private street. We do not live in a gated community. There's no such thing as a gated community. And you said it yourself, you put your garbage pails out early to save parking spaces.
Larry.
I'd run them over too.
Larry,
I'll speak to
through.
the chair. So it seems like there's a problem on both ends. Also, we're looking for the council and the police department to bail out either the planning board or the zoning board who allowed 5 houses to go there. The police chief and the mayor cannot step in on these issues. If they were allowed to build it, you live. Parking is a premium today. And you know, nobody likes anybody parking in front of their house. But in today's world, families have 5, 6 cars. And no house is built with 5 or 6 parking spaces. So it's first come, first serve. If you don't like it, move. You knew that that was an undersized cul-de-sac when you bought it there. He said it a couple of times. So if parking is an issue, that would be a reason to move then. And I mean, when you come up here and you're going to agitate the people, they're taxpayers too. I don't care if you pay $70,000 or $170,000. If these people pay $2,000 taxes, but they don't. They pay just as much as he does. They're entitled to that parking space too. And they're not his to own. And I think the town is wrong by going into a street, because then how would every block be if I don't want this guy parking by me? I want a handicap spot in front of my house. I don't want this guy parking here. I don't want that guy. You drive the chief and the DPW crazy. If we did the right thing, we would remove all of that stuff and just leave it the way it was. He chose to buy the house there. You live just like this gentleman chose to buy a house on a river. He knew what it was. There's no surprises there for you. So why do we change and do stuff to cater to certain people when you're disrupting other families that can't park on a county road? There's no reserved parking there. I didn't even want to get into that, but like I said, when somebody like that takes advantage of a situation, which I believe he is, he needs to be told where, you know, where it is, where it's at. Now we'll get into the town business. As far as the nepotism ordinance, Mr. Simaluka stated on Tuesday, I believe, at the work session, that he worked on it during his lunch hour. Well, to me, if you're gonna do something that's that important, you need to put a little more time in than your lunch hour, okay? Do something like that on your lunch hour. It seems to me that it's directed at one body or whatever. And months ago, we had a discussion, me and him at a council meeting, and he asked me a question: if the chief hired his child, I didn't know if he said son or daughter or whatever, would that be considered nepotism? And I told him at that time, no, because the police department takes a test. It's not like, I don't want to use names, but we had a former council person here that son got a job and then got a $13,000 raise. Where were your issues and where were your views when that was happening? Instead of worrying about what's happening now. Believe me, we have a situation where, you know, it's aimed, and you're aiming it at the wrong direction. And like I say, you need to put more time in it than lunchtime, and then you're going to present it tonight for a reading. That's the problem. We do things too quick, we don't read things, and we try to quick push. We've got enough items that we're pushing around right now that we're not going nowhere with. As far, I'd like to ask this question to the attorney, through the chair. As far as the health benefits, where do we stand with that, with the legal opinions of the ex-mayor's lifetime benefits and the council's benefits? Where do we stand on that?
Through the chair,
I asked through the chair.
The legal opinion with regard to the mayor's request for lifetime health benefits is that she's not entitled to them. There's been a threat of litigation, so it shouldn't be discussed any further at this point in time by the former mayor.
Okay, now as far as the council, if the mayor or ex-mayor isn't entitled, where does the council people lie that are taking her? What's the opinion of that? If she's not entitled to them, why are these people entitled to them that are taking them right now?
Well, if I were to go into that issue in greater detail, I think that I would jeopardize certain issues related to the township's position in anticipation of this litigation. At some point in time, I believe I can go into...
Will we address it at some point in time?
Well, when we see with regard to this threat of litigation, when it's one way or another resolved, then I think that your questions can be answered in more full detail.
Okay,
but at this
now
point in time, the determination
okay.
is that the former
mayor...
mayor...
Right now, you can't say anything.
Yes.
Just answer me one question. Is it 25 years for that, or consecutive, or what was the determining factor there? Where is it 20 consecutive, 20 years, 25 years, what?
Well, the determination was made that based upon, well, again, like I said, I just don't think...
You don't have to go into detail, just give me what the answer is, that's all.
Well, that specific issue was not dispositive with regard to the issue of coverage in this particular situation involving the former mayor. There was another issue that came into effect with regard to that.
Okay. Last month I asked, or last meeting or whatever, I asked Mr. Lodica for the bills for Veterans Field, for the engineering fees. I know that there was 2 bills brought up. One was for $37,000 for the snack stand. That wasn't in that packet. And then there was another one that the council held from last meeting. Now, with these bills that you gave me, are they the only paid bills, or them 2 large bills? They're not paid?
They were, what you received, Larry, were paid bills.
Paid bills. So we're sitting on $70,000, approximately
We had
$72,000,
$37,000 that was
in
pulled
addition to
from last
50-some thousand that you gave me already.
43.
43, okay, but 43, 37, and 35 we have pending right now. Also, I've seen on that resolution there, we discussed the scoreboard being moved for $17,000, which I believe is ridiculous. There's also a fee for $26,000 for moving 2 backstops. Now, do we do a cost factor when we get a bid or an estimate from a contractor saying, I'm going to charge you $26,000 to move 2 backstops, or you can build 2 new ones for $15,000? And why did we choose to move 2 old backstops for $26,000? Can anybody answer that? And do we know what new backstop? I know, Joe, you showed him pictures and a drawing of a backstop that you would have liked to have.
Yes,
And did
I
you
was
know the
kind of on the
cost
same
of-
page as that, Larry. I wanted to build a new backstop, a little
Right.
more baseball friendly.
Right. With
for
the, with the
baseball.
hangover, right?
But
Did you ever get a cost though?
no, I didn't. It never came to pass. I
It never
brought
came
up,
to
I
pass,
showed
so
a picture.
we just approved him to move 2 backstops for $26,000.
Again, I guess it was in the original contract.
I know that, but that's why I'm asking you, why didn't we ask what it costs for new backstops? Or why didn't we ask what it costs for a new scoreboard? I mean, you all got the contract, right? Right? I mean, these little things, I just read it because I was bored Tuesday night, to be honest with you, and that's what I started reading. The waste there on the board there. There's a lot of waste on that board, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Also, do we have a completion date for the whole project?
A completion date?
Yes.
Well, we're walking next Tuesday with the project
I
managers.
mean, but, okay, so we don't, the answer is no.
Well, there's a couple of things that are still outstanding.
Okay,
But
no. A completion date would be bathrooms, refreshment stand, and field, okay? Now, my next question is, when anybody in town wants to build something, they must present a set of plans to a building department, or a board, planning, zoning, or whatever. Why didn't the town present a set of drawings to one of the boards, or to the building inspector? So we would have something on file, so we would know what it looks like, what it's gonna cost, and then you tell the contractor, you're starting December 1st, I want you done by August 1st. If not, it's so much a day penalty to you if you're not finished. And then we don't drag it out, we don't get milk. See, we get milked until we cut the cow off. You know what I'm saying? Right now, the cow's cut off now. Cow can't milk us anymore. But we don't have them any of them dates. I mean, this is just normal procedure in any project. I mean, even when you're building a house, you ask the contractor, when are you gonna be done? And you put a date on him, so he moves along. I mean, we do sewer projects, or we're doing a water project, you have a deadline for him, June 30th, the engineer said. He has to have the concrete work done by then. But yet we do a $2 million project and we don't put no clamps on nobody. We like to get pushed around, we don't like to push around. And it's not that you're gonna push somebody around, you're gonna get your money's worth for the residents. That's what you have to do. You're our fighters, you have to fight for us. We shouldn't come up here and fight yous. And that's what we're doing. We're fighting you to get our things done in a timely manner, in a costly manner, and not have a lot of waste. Who's in charge of the project right now?
The engineer.
Who?
The engineer,
Which engineer?
Tom.
Who?
Tom,
Tom.
current engineer, yes. He's overseeing.
Of the turf field?
Right, Veterans Field.
Veterans Field.
See, we don't even know who's in
No,
charge.
he's overseeing.
So how can we get anything done?
I don't want to speak for Tom. Unfortunately, Tom couldn't make it tonight, so
Okay.
I'm filling in for Tom. But it was my understanding that Mr. Costa would finish out the turf field. And on the concession stand,
Stand is
I know
Tom.
my office is dealing with Mr. Costa to try to get those plans and specifications wrapped up so they can go out to bid.
Right.
So we're still not there yet.
No.
Now we're into, every month, we're into June now.
We just
And we
received the
still don't
plans
have
on
anything.
Tuesday, Larry.
Huh?
Larry, we just received the plans on Tuesday.
You received them on Tuesday, after all of them months, 6 months, to make plans for a refreshment stand and bathrooms. And you should have had plans in December before you started the project. That's when you should have had the plans, when the shovel went in the ground. But he milked you for 6 months. Also, there was comments made and questions asked about the Mayhill Pump Station. Mr. Costa repeatedly said there is nothing wrong, quote me, Joe?
Yeah.
With the Mayhill
That was my
Pump
question.
Station, everything is working fine, these pumps will do the job. Now we find out that the 2 pumps are working at 85%, set it to work at 85%, and the other pump shuts down. Just like this gentleman said, there's always a DPW truck there. Whenever it snows. So what did we get for our money with that pump station? Redoing it and spending, I don't know how much we spent,
but I know we spent a boatload of money there. What did we get? And then we get told that everything's fine. Everything was working fine. All we gotta do is put a clean-out valve in, and we gotta do this, we gotta do that. Here we find out there's broken, boards on there, you know, the thing's not working.
Larry, even the current engineer is baffled by some of the things that are going on there. There's the electrical issues going on
Well,
and
what are we
shutting
doing?
down.
You know what?
Well, we're
Let me tell
looking
you
into it
something.
now.
I don't know how many towns there are in Bergen County,
Mhm.
okay? But there's a lot of towns that aren't baffled. And we're baffled about everything. We're baffled about building a salt shed. We're baffled. We can't do that. We can't get a roof on a DPW. You know, so I mean, we paid a lot of money. We spent a lot of money. And we weren't told the truth. That's what we were. We were not told the truth. And all of that stuff is on tape. Just listen and go back and watch the tapes. He'll tell you that everything's fine. Joe, don't worry about it. Joe would say, look, I live in that
there, so
area.
I did worry.
My people are asking me, my residents. It backs up, Joe, everything's fine, Joe. Joe, everything's fine. When we were gonna spend the money for the field, I said, look, go to do the pump station, do the DPW, do the things in priority that need to be done first. Don't worry, Joe, everything's working fine. Now we find out 3 months, 4 months, 5 months later, everything is not fine. I mean, how many years is Fifth Street gonna flood for? And how much money are we gonna put into Fifth Street? When do we stop? When?
Till we get a solution.
When what?
Till we get a solution.
Till we get a solution. So
Yeah.
we just keep blowing money,
No, but we.
digging holes,
Okay,
no
tell me.
pavement, no nothing.
Tell me what should we do, Larry?
What
Through
should
the,
we
through the
do?
chair,
Seriously.
Larry,
Yes,
a lot of what you're saying, your points are well taken.
right.
Look, we want to move forward. We have a new engineer, we have a new attorney.
But Bobby, we can't go through this every 4 years.
I-
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
We can't go through this every 4 years.
We're gonna make
Because
sure,
Fifth
we're gonna
Street
learn
spent
from some of
a
the mistakes.
lifetime.
I'm not saying everything that you,
Right.
I mean, I don't
But
agree
it's
with
been a
everything you
lifetime.
said, but
Okay,
some of the things you said I agree with, and then we're gonna learn from that and move forward.
well, it's
And try to
expensive
do it
to
the
learn.
best we can.
It's expensive. We're getting paying for an expensive education on things that are, I don't think are that hard to do on a normal, you know, day-to-day operation. As far as the business administrator is concerned, what is his job description? I mean, if we didn't have somebody in charge of the field, I mean, you look at other towns, I know they're not the same form of government as us, but, I mean, you got a guy in Garfield, Tom Dutch, you got a guy in Lodi, Tony Luna, they're on top of things. They're out in the field. I mean, I don't know what Pete's job description is, but I think we should have somebody from the town out in the field and overseeing some of these projects once in a while. I'm not saying he goes out 5 days a week, but go out 1, 2 days a week and see what's going on. I mean, when they were working on Mayhill, Pete told me that he didn't even know there was excavators on Mayhill Street. I mean, if you're driving around the town, you would see that. But if you don't come out, but I mean, should a business administrator oversee some projects or see what's going on, rather than pick a councilman who has no background in that and doesn't get anywhere near the salary? I mean, to oversee some things? Through the chair?
Larry, I'll answer that. I don't think it's the business administrator's job to do that. Usually when you have a big project, you have a clerk of the works.
You have a what?
A clerk of the works, somebody that you pay to,
Yeah, but
on a
I
daily
mean, how much
basis.
bigger we're gonna get than 2.4 million?
And
or
you
whatever we're
need to
spending?
rely on the engineer.
We didn't have it.
The engineer
Well,
is very.
we relied on an engineer, but like I said, that's the hen watching or the wolf watching the hens. He ate them all up. Also, he also told us, I'm just gonna ask you, he said there was another 400,000 that was available, and he was very close to getting it. All he had to do was fill the paperwork out. Did they ever come through on that other 400,000?
I remember him talking about that.
Excuse me?
I remember him mentioning that.
I know, but you know, did he ever come through with it though?
I don't know, he
Huh?
didn't. No, he didn't.
No, not again, huh? Okay.
We got
So that was-
57,000.
Huh?
We got 57,000.
But that was from community development grants, which we
Right.
get every year. He was talking 400,000. There was another 400,000 sitting on the ledge. He was gonna talk to the guy, just fill the paperwork out, and I'll get you another 400,000. Don't worry about the money. You won't run out of money. Okay? And we're gonna see. And like I say, we don't have a total cost estimate for that project either, how much we're gonna spend. Because we'll be out of money in no time. Also, the road project was discussed on Tuesday night. The condition of the roads. The engineer said they're horrible. I mean, we haven't had a road program in years. No money, no nothing. We don't do anything. And yet, we voted for a 0% budget. And I said, back then when we voted on it, I said, the new people coming in, or the old people, whoever was gonna be here, is gonna explain to the residents where the money is. Mr. Camilleri voted no. He gets a pass. Mr. Arminio wasn't here. Mr. Acamunda wasn't here. Mr. Simaluka voted yes for a 0%, and so did you, Council President. So where is the money in that great budget that you ran and you voted for? Where is our money now to do our roads on 0%? Mr. Simaluka? That's not a real question? Okay, I'm gonna rephrase it for you. I'll put it in a simpler form for you. You voted for a 0% increase in the taxes. And I came up here and I said, you can't run a town on 0. You have to run something. Or have some kind of money, some kind of slush fund, some kind of planning. And you said we're gonna be fine.
We
Because
did
that's
well
why you.
last year.
Huh?
We did well last year.
And what roads did we do last year?
We got
I mean,
projects on
70% of our roads are no good. Engineers told us, gave us a report. So did they all deteriorate overnight?
They've been deteriorating over the years. and we've been
So
doing
where
it- we're doing it
was
this
your planning to have a road program and to put money aside to repair the roads? Or that was just an election ploy for a 0%?
It wasn't my election point, because I wasn't.
No,
on
but
it.
you voted for it though. And I said I will be back in 6 months to ask you where the money is.
I don't understand what you mean by where the money is.
Well, don't you think if we would have raised taxes 2% or 3%, I don't know, whatever you're allowed to, would we have money now, some kind of money to fix the roads?
It would have been in last year's budget. You'd have to spend it on that year's budget.
Would we have it for this year? Would we be able to fix some roads last year if we had money? You can do it. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna give you some advice. When you have money, you can do anything. When you don't have it, you can't do anything. Okay? And that's what we have. We don't have any money, so we can't do anything.
It's not like years ago where we were basically on the verge of bankruptcy.
Okay, so you're gonna sit there and you're gonna tell me it was good to have a 0% increase.
It was a reasonable budget, yes.
It was a reasonable budget.
It was.
I hope people remember that next November when you run for election, so we can get you out of there quick, because we need money to run the town. You know, like I said, it's just poor planning. It was poor planning on the council's part, and to accept that budget. And I mean, Mr. Camilleri was the only one that voted no. The only one. I guess he was looking ahead. And basically, that would be it. But like I said, I think we should be able to see some plans, some costs for the field, and a due date. Set a due date. Who's ever running the project, when is it gonna be complete? And hold them to it, and put a penalty in there for every day that it's not completed. And again, once again, I don't believe we have any private roads in Saddlebrook, and anybody should be able to park wherever they want. And don't ask the police department and the mayor to bail out a developer, a greedy developer that comes in and overbuilds. And that's it.
Neil Guth, 5 Orchard Lane. It's tough to follow up with this gentleman, but I will. We are totally on the 5 homes in Orchard Lane, the people there. We're not looking for resident only.
Neil,
All right, we're not looking for resident only parking, which I would personally like, but we're not asking for that. Okay, what we are asking for is a time, where from 12 o'clock at night till 8 in the morning, no cars can park in the street, which would also affect us, because we can't park our cars as well. So we're gonna put ourselves in that equation, because we're missing out on services sometimes, okay, because, I've talked to sanitation people, township people, we have too many cars, and we all know from the other gentleman that said earlier this evening, it's an undersized lot, okay? 5 houses crammed in there, but it should have probably only have been 3. But that goes back to 1997, 98, but it seems like we're now paying that price, okay? Because My neighbors behind me don't even talk to me because, oh, this was a peach tree or whatever it was at one time. Okay, but there are now 5 homes crammed in. Was it designed properly? I don't think so. If it wasn't for my wife, we wouldn't be living there. But she loved the house, so we bought the house. She loved it, and I said, screws. Okay, and that's what happened, because I saw what was going to go on here, and then, you know, and that's just reality. Okay, so, you know, we move in, and then the gentleman that I'm going to talk to the council, but this gentleman named, I think his name is George, I spoke to a couple of months ago, and I said, hey, you moved in. I go, hi, you're doing Neil Booth, I live over here, you're across the street, and his house is probably the biggest offender of parking all over our street, okay, which only has a few spots in the street, okay? I don't know if it's a 2-family, 3-family, 5-family. He probably has 6 cars in his driveway all the time, and he said, I can't worry about, oh yeah, you guys can laugh all you want. I can't worry, I have a tenant, her name, I'm not gonna mention her name, but she's a tenant and she has a boyfriend, but you know, I can't control where they park. And I said, well, could you try to help out and let them find a place to park in your driveway? But he doesn't seem to be accommodating to that. So they park in front of our houses. Now the way, because it's so small, you know, it's really hard to get in and out of your driveways because of the angles, because it is a very small cul-de-sac. And you can hit cars, and you know, if it was up to me, again, I'd say resident only, because the weekends are the worst. We're not asking for during the day. You can park there during the day, that's fine, okay? You want to park there during the day? The weekends is like a zoo, because that one house across the street has, almost every other weekend has massive parties. Massive parties. And I have dozens of pictures that I could show the council on people that are having parties. And they park, and it's very difficult. So, you know, we came to the council, we discussed this, and some changes were made because of safety issues. Okay, so we had a sign put in because it was, you know, people were parking on Saddle River Road, their back end's tailing out, and it was a very dangerous situation. So we got some help. They put up a sign, no parking here at the corner. That's great. People were parking on top of the fireplace. The fire hydrant. So we had a yellow line. Some of the cobblestone was painted because, you know, that's a safety hazard. So there was some good that has come out of this. You know, my neighbor had a handicap spot put in front of his house because he is handicapped. Okay, and his wife is handicapped. So that was some really positive things. So it's not like we're looking for 24/7. It's only for residents of Orchard Lane. You know, and again, we're going to have to park, make sure that nobody's in that street from 12 to 8. It relieves a lot of problems for the 5 residents you want to talk about. Oh, we all pay $12,000 a year in taxes. Well, it is what it is right now. You know, so we pay a lot of money. Okay, fine. Okay, but you know, we are talking about a quality of life issue. Okay, and to have cars on top of us because it is so small and congested. Cars can't park next to the curbs because of how severe the shape of the curve is. So cars are more like in the street. Okay, so when you do leave your driveways, you got to make sure you don't hit anybody. You don't want to hit anybody's car because they're parking on top of you. Okay, so it is our little issue on our little block. Yes, it's our little issue. You know, but you know, with parking from 12 to 8, no parking at night, that'll free up the services of the town so they can come pick up our recycling, have no problems. They can pick up our garbage, no problem. They can plow our streets in the wintertime without any problems, because during the night, you know, because right now we have cars there all the time. And my neighbors, you know, I wish more could have been here tonight. The other 2 neighbors, so the other house is being sold, so, you know, they have no interest because they're moving. But, you know, we also, we know that we're going to have to honor that as well. So we're not asking for a whole hell of a lot, you know. The one house on Saddle River Road, I mean, to have 6 cars in the driveway at one time is a lot. And, you know, and they're the biggest abusers. There are other houses on Saddle River Road. We have a white van that parks there regularly, several days on it, just parks. We have a black Audi, parks, just parks, sits there. We have a gray Nissan, sits there for days. I mean, I don't know where these people come from.
It's a public street.
Yeah, it's a public street. It's a public street.
Excuse
Right.
me.
It's a public street. That's exactly right. It's a public street. Right. Fine. Okay, so we're asking that, you know, we would like you to approve no parking from 12 a.m. at night until 8 o'clock in the morning to relieve some of the, you know, situation that's going on in that development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sylvie Zottarelli, 232 Lanza Ave. First, we all know my pet peeve with Veterans Field is the bathrooms. And Joe, you keep promising me month after month, we're getting these bathrooms. But as I come to every meeting and listen, you just got plans Tuesday, we don't know the cost of this project. Are you still promising me we're gonna get bathrooms? Is the
Yes.
money gonna be there?
Yes.
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 Through the chair, we're gonna get the bathrooms. It's just a matter of when. Unfortunately, we just got the plans Tuesday, which.
I know.
You know how I feel on that. I mean, I've stated in the past. But I could, through getting permits myself, I could honestly say that field is probably not gonna get bathrooms till sometime after December. Even if they do decide, I can't see anybody telling me that we're gonna have bathrooms done for the start of football season and complete finish. I'll tell them to their face they're lying. I can't see those bathrooms being completed until after the new year. That's my personal opinion, because there's too much to go through as far as, we just got the plans together, now they gotta be revised once more, so when are we gonna get them back, another 2 months? So it's, are we gonna get them? Yes. This year? I don't think so. That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
I can't speak for everybody else. Hopefully they can, those words come back and bite me.
Okay, and next, I feel very bad for the residents over there, but I'm gonna tell you, if you even think about putting in some kind of ordinance to prevent parking, I want one by my house. I bought a house in a school district, I'm fighting with somebody every single day. My driveways get blocked. Pete, we've discussed this. I have cones blocking a parking space in front of my house I can't utilize. I bought a house in that area. I knew what to expect. It stinks, but it is what it is. But if we're gonna start picking and choosing who can park where, I wanna be on that bandwagon. That's all I'm gonna say. They're public streets. I have sporting events at Franklin. We have concerts. I have people going on class trips that block my driveway, and I can't get in and out all day. So I'm just saying, there's issues everywhere, but if that's gonna become one, I want that bandwagon, because I want something done by me. We have the same issues with snow, blocking, it's a two-way street. I've helped the crossing guard back traffic up to get the garbage truck in, because I've been here saying this. So it's everywhere, and I'm just saying, if you're gonna pick and choose, I wanna be on that bandwagon. Thank you.
I don't know what the rule is about getting up a second time, but I won't be long. One thing that I did want to say is, I think I've been on Saddle River Road probably longer than almost anybody's ever been, almost 24 years, 23 years. And I can tell you, living on that curve, you know, when I moved in, like I said, with the farmhouse there, I never predicted that 5 houses would be there. When they moved that snow from the cul-de-sac, the DPW, in fact, it's not a private plower for a private street, it's a DPW truck that pushes that snow out into the middle of the street, and the county pushes it down, and it packs all along the side of my driveway. And I gotta spend all that time cleaning my whole driveway out 4 or 5 times when the county comes down, because as they come down with that road and they turn that plow, if you ever drive by my house, and you're welcome to in the wintertime, if you drive Saddle River Road, I got snow piled this high in front of my house. And I have to go out there 5 times during the break to clean all that snow out in front of my house. Another thing, I sat here almost 20 years ago and heard the developers say that there's no parking on Saddle River Road, but when we build the cul-de-sac, you can park over there all you want, because before there's no cul-de-sac there, you can't park on the street. But with the cul-de-sac there, that's an advantage to you to park there. So now we're being here, I didn't even know that they restricted a couple extra spots and gave him a handicap spot over there either. I personally don't park over there, maybe never have I parked over there, maybe twice in the whole 20 some odd years I've lived there. But now I might even park over there. I've got another teenage daughter that's gonna be driving pretty soon, and she's gonna look for a spot, because I only have 2 parking spots in front of my house, and I have to park in the grass to get 1 spot. So, I would say maybe vote no, since I was here for the Planning Commission when they told me we could park there.
Good evening. I'm Marla Chardoff. I'm the tenant that everybody seems to be referring to. I've lived on Saddle River Road, 358 Saddle River Road, for 15 years. Survived, I don't know what the expression is, outlived, survived 2 owners, and George, my current owner, and Mercy are just wonderful people. Not to mention 2 floods and the loss of 2 cars. But I'd like to respond to some of the comments that Mr. Vinny and Mr. Neal made. First, there was insinuation about abuse. I just can't see that, because we take the time always to get out of the car when we park, to look that we are parked correctly, to look that we're giving them enough room to get into their driveways. And in my opinion, it's not abuse at all. And another comment was made that young people can take a walk, like we could walk 3 blocks away to park our cars. Well, which we could and we do on occasion, but one of the issues of parking so far away, and especially walking home at night, is that, as mentioned, the cars that go along Saddle River Road really do speed. And so we're walking at night in the dark and having to deal with these cars that are speeding, and also, you know, that, as it was clear that one car went into, you know, the driveway, or crashed through the barrier in the, oh, there you are. Yes, yes. So there are safety issues here, very clear safety issues. Again, young people can take a walk. However, the residents of Orchard Lane can use their driveways and garages. We can take a walk, but when the spots in the street are taken up by all the residents, when they have no cars in their driveways and no cars in their garages, it doesn't make sense to me. There was an insinuation that we are parking there to be spiteful. I feel, unfortunately, spite exists when residents of Orchard keep their cars parked in the street when their driveways and garages are possibly clear or possibly empty. So since we've lost a precious 3 spaces just recently, and there was no communication to us personally that things were going to change, I've had an opportunity to take that walk 3 blocks away, and it's not fun, especially at night. And I feel like there was huge exaggeration about these parties all the time, parties. If there was huge parties there, I would not be living there. I couldn't tolerate that. So I don't know, they do have people coming over, to enjoy their backyard, and, it's just not all the time. I just couldn't live there if it was. So, as I live across the street and I have a bird's eye view of Orchard Lane, I could see every day all the DPW vehicles get in and out quite nicely. All their garbage is always picked up. There's really never been any issues. I just feel like everything started for some reason 2 years ago. For the last 13 years previous, there were no issues. And it's just started, and it's just really gotten out of control, and it's sad because I like the expression "love thy neighbor," but we're not feeling loved. We enjoy him because he plows our streets and the sidewalks in the snow, but when we get dirty looks and craziness from residents on Orchard for parking in their street, it's just it's troubling. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I just had, I'm sorry, Emil Studall. Nice to meet you. I'm on 412 Van Leeuwen Terrace. A couple of issues that I wanted to go over. I haven't been to a bunch of meetings lately. I've been kind of busy. I just had a question. I guess you guys passed a resolution recently pertaining to snow removal around fire hydrants here in town. Is it true that are you making the homeowners remove the snow from the fire hydrants near their house? Is that true? That's been passed?
Yes. Yes.
It is passed. How could you do that? How could you let homeowners be responsible and liable for something like that? Isn't this a liability issue? What if the homeowner isn't home? Let's say they're away on vacation and during a snowstorm, or the plow plows a wall of snow in front of the hydrant in the middle of the night, and there's a fire, and the hydrant is blocked. Is that homeowner now responsible because you passed this resolution stating that the homeowner has to remove the snow from that hydrant? I think you opened up a can of worms here. Why can't the DPW do this? They clean the streets, they clean the sidewalks. Why can't they clean the hydrants? If not, why not the fire department? You get a volunteer fire department, let them do it. Pay them $10 a hydrant or something. Let them do it. But you have a lot of senior citizens here in this town. They can't do this. You know, especially when a plow comes through in the middle of the night and they put up that wall of ice and it freezes solid, and they go curb to curb in a lot of neighborhoods. These senior citizens can't come out and chop away that snow and ice to do this. I really think you should reconsider this and change this and bring it back to either the DPW or the fire department or something, but to put the homeowners, making them liable for this, I think it's a wrong thing to do.
Could I comment on that before you go
Sure,
further?
absolutely.
You know, if you're elderly and you need help cleaning that hydrant, we opened up to the town, please call, you know, before the season even starts, and you will have aid to clean that hydrant, okay?
I still think that's wrong. It should not be up
All
to
right,
the.
just let me ask you one question. I'm gonna present a question to
Sure.
you. You have a hydrant in front of your house?
No,
first?
I do not,
Okay,
but it's
well,
not
if you
far
did-
away.
If you did, and say your neighbor's house burnt down 2 houses ago, and someone lost their life in that, and it was because they couldn't get to the fire hydrant, how would you feel?
Well, I would feel terrible, number one, but I think it should be the responsibility of the township to clean the damn snow from the sidewalk, from the hydrants, not a homeowner, not a home. This is not for everyone to do. It's only certain people that have this problem. And there are quite a few senior citizens here in this town. And you
Well, they
people,
would
like
get
I
it.
said, you
They
people
would
are
get
made
it.
homeowners liable now. This is a legal issue here. In the event something did happen, those people would be liable. And that's wrong. And, you know, like I said, I really think you should rethink this and either let the DPW do this or let the volunteer fire department do it. Pay the volunteer firemen to do it. Give them $10 a hydrant or something to clean the snow. I mean, I think that would be a great idea. I just, you know, I don't know. Especially, I know in my neighborhood, I have a lot of seniors. Great people, hardworking people, have done working, but for them to come out in the middle of the night to clean
It
ice
doesn't
and
have to necessarily, again, be in the middle of the night.
it snows.
When it snows, you
It
shovel
snows,
your
it's-
walk, you clear your driveway, you clear the hydrant.
It's not, it's, once again, I say it's not up to the homeowners. We should not be liable and responsible for the township's equipment because the township owns the fire hydrants, not the homeowner. It's wrong. It's very wrong. I never heard of that in any town.
It's been in the paper for a few other towns.
Elmwood Park has that.
A couple other things I wanted to talk about. I noticed we have a new engineer, so are you not from this area? Are you from Saddlebrook? I'm sorry, through the chair.
Robert Ramsey?
You can answer.
So you're not really familiar with this township?
He's filling in, and Mr. Sudol, he's filling in for our township engineer. He's a
Okay.
member of their firm.
Okay, so I'll hold off on this, but I just wanted
I don't
to
know.
mention about the flooding issue on Fifth Street. Ongoing for many years, and it just flooded again recently last week. And I just wanted to know if the council had any plans at all to do something to remedy this situation of constant flooding on Fifth, on all of those side streets, Victor,
No,
and
we were
every
well
time it
aware of it,
rains.
I know.
I've been asking about this for several meetings. And, with the past engineer, he had, I believe, someone from the state clearing the pipes underneath Route 46. Do you know if that was completed?
Yes.
It was?
The state did finish that, yes.
So will that in any way alleviate some of the flood?
Hopefully, yes. There's a few more divots that have to be cleared out, and I want to direct our engineer to stay with that project and finish that through.
That'd be great. Just
Because
wondering if
I
we-
get flooded personally.
It's
in my
not fun.
house. No, it's not fun, so I know exactly what it is.
Just wondering if we can get Passaic Valley Sewage Commission involved in doing some of that cleanup in there. One other, my favorite topics I'd like to bring up is, once again, I guess through the chair to Mr. Semaluka, the Caldwell Avenue Low-Income Housing Project. Where are we going with this? What's happening?
Oh, I have to apologize. I did have it on my list to call the person who's in charge to see where we're at. And I know that the drop dead date for the funding is coming up relatively soon.
We have
Unfortunately,
quiet,
not, so I apologize to you and to
on
the
conversation.
I did mean to call to find out, because I didn't know you were coming, but I am concerned about that, and I like this project. I was in favor of the project. There's no secret about that.
Who presently owns the property?
Township.
We do. So we're providing the maintenance for it, paying for the utilities, the insurance.
There's no real maintenance for that.
Well, somebody's cutting the grass,
Yes.
somebody's maintaining the building, somebody's paying the utilities, the insurance.
I don't even know if there are any valid utilities in there.
No, I'm sure it must be heated in the wintertime.
It probably is.
And I noticed the Bergen County Sheriff's Department, they're constantly using the building. Are we being compensated for that?
Our county law enforcement officials are allowed to use that for drilling purposes with the permission of the town and the police department.
Are we
And I
being
believe that the
paid
entire
any money for that? Are we being
township-
compensated for
We're being
that?
compensated by the county to train their men who sometimes train our
Is the
men.
township being compensated for it
Absolutely.
financially?
Through the chair, no township is being compensated from any law enforcement for training. They do it on a volunteer basis.
Why
to
can't we,
better our police
why can't
departments.
we get paid for it?
Why would the town ask the?
Yeah, we're
the county
providing
to
a free
pay?
building with heat and electricity and everything for,
But you're given adequate training for law enforcement. That's
I'm not
something
getting
you may
anything
need.
for it.
You may need them one day. Hopefully we don't.
I would rather have them having their own complex to do it at, instead of doing it in my backyard.
They do it in 72 townships in the county
You know,
for free.
I don't know, I just feel it's not right, you know. I just feel this whole complex was wrong, this whole idea about the bringing low-income housing into that area is wrong. When we set aside property to do it somewhere else, here we are, we lost how many tens of thousands of dollars in lost revenue from rateable taxes, property taxes on that. And what does that add up over to in some time span, say over 10, 20 years? How much we are losing because of this idea of yours, Andy? This was just wrong.
It wasn't my idea.
Well, you were the ones that, you know what, we had a big meeting on this, and about 70 or so homeowners came out. Everybody was against this project, but you pushed it through. You and a couple other council people railroaded this thing through. And
And since then, you've been the only person that's come to a meeting
well,
against it.
you want me to rile up the neighbors and get them down here, Andy? I could do that.
Bring 'em on.
I just can't see losing all this money and nothing to gain, nothing for the residents of Saddlebrook
It is
whatsoever.
It's for the entire township. We will
It's for the
guarantee-
entire county, Andy, for the entire county. It's not for Saddlebrook.
It'll be good for South.
Yeah, right. And finally, the ball field, Veterans Field. I just have one question. I just heard that is this field, the ball field regulation sized?
Yes, there has been misinformation put out there for a year that it's not regulation size, and it is.
So it is. They are.
You're saying ball field.
I don't know what you.
Can you be
what
more
you're-
specific?
I don't know
Because
what
it's
you
a
constructed
multi-use
there.
field.
I have no idea. I was
But
never
you're the
there.
one that said, ball field, are you talking softball, baseball?
I don't know.
Then how can you ask something you don't know? I need
A
to know
simple
the
question. How
specifics
many
of it.
fields do you have there?
It's 7 sports players.
And are any of them official, or are all of them official size?
All of them are official size?
That's all I asked. That's all
Well,
I
I was
asked.
just trying to get specifics. We have football,
I have
soccer.
no idea. I've never been there.
Okay.
Never, you know, I just feel like that whole project should have been done at the high school instead of Veterans Field. The high school's the one that really needed a new field. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for your time.
Through the chair, I just want to say something to Emil regarding the Bergen County Sheriff's Department utilizing the building for training. It's really a one hand washes the other thing there. The county Sheriff's Department does an awful lot for this town. Recently, we used the prisoners. They have a program where the prisoners come and give free labor to the town. They painted this municipal building, and have done a lot of other things too.
You're
For
gonna bring
residents.
prisoners there? Is that what you're saying?
Excuse me?
You're gonna bring prisoners?
No. What I'm saying is, it's a one hand washes the other. We don't receive compensation from them for allowing them to use the building for training.
You got it in different ways.
Right, we get it in different ways. And it's a good relationship. So that's what we get from it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Omar Rodriguez, 275 Madison Avenue. 8 years councilman, 4 times council president, so you don't forget that. First and foremost, I would like to start by saying I want to commend all the residents that came here tonight and to express themselves at this public forum, because they are residents and taxpayers, and this is the right, this is the duty to express themselves. This is nothing wrong, nothing. It's part of democracy. You are elected by the people and for the people, and everybody got the right to express their opinion. It doesn't mean that we are a bad town. Actually, we're trying to make it better. And sometimes our elected officials, all of them are our elected officials, have to listen to the majority of the people. It's very cold, the room tonight. And it's been more than 3 hours, and the people are still here because they care about the quality of life. Therefore, before you vote, you will have to take in consideration all the comments and all the things that has been brought up tonight. I wouldn't go over one by one because one of my neighbors already brought the coyote problem. Then another issue, and I'm pretty straight and narrow when I say things. For the first time, we hear a group of parents coming for the sports. And yes, I would say it's a political appointment. To pick up a recreation director is a political appointment. But now it is up to that political appointment to deliver. It is up to that political appointment to act in a professional way with politics aside. Just the appointment comes with politics. But once you are in that position, you have to satisfy the needs of the vast majority of the sports community. By what it was heard tonight, apparently it's been issues, and I know in the past it's been several issues. So none of the council members can say that they never heard about this. It's been several issues for several months. And I'm glad that Mayor White is going to try to revisit the issue, and he's going to sit with the parents, he's going to sit with the coaches and all the stakeholders, as well as the recreation director and the coaches, because once you have the head of the recreation director, basically that's how it goes down the line. That's basically how the commissioners are picked, based on different qualities. Then that's when it comes the professionalism of the recreation director. And I'm pretty sure that at the end of the day, most of the parents, stakeholders, and kids, and elected officials will find common ground and trying to do what is best for the entire community. Saying that, I also heard tonight about parking. Parking is a major problem throughout the town. We are outgrowing our town. We know the parking is a big issue. And I'm sure that you will do what is best at the end of this session. However, I'm surprised, talking about parking. On Tuesday, it was on the agenda just to give you an example, how we have to look down the road. We have to have vision. We have to look down the road, not what's going to happen next week or next year, but actually what is going to happen 5, 10, 20 years from now. My understanding is that the Department of Transportation, the state of New Jersey actually, is trying to lease to the town Route 46 for $1. And it has been some objections, like who's going to clean it when it's snow time? I don't think that is a proper question. The question should be how it's going to benefit the residents of the area, especially when we have snowstorms that they have to move. The residents on those areas have to move their cars in order for DPW to clean their streets. The people have to move their cars, and there is a lot of cars. Where do you think that they're going to have to park? But if we're going to have it for $1 a year, I think that it's a worth investment. And some of them that doesn't have to have common sense. Actually, blindly, you can just say yes, because it's going to benefit the town, and especially nowadays, the parking is a premium. So I don't know what happened, why it's not on the agenda tonight, and I believe that it should be considered. Now, I'm going to start discussing a few items, and I just want to say that once I finish here, if any of the council members or any of the elected officials or professionals have any questions for me, I will be more than glad to answer and to go into debate with anyone or interchange of ideas, but I will not stay here just to people speaking about me when I'm not at the podium. Therefore, I would like to say that recently the Veterans Field has been rededicated. As all residents in Saddlebrook know, the last move from putting the turf field was a political move that they thought that the former mayor and 2 former council members thought that they will get elected with that. And of course, that the people are well aware that that was not the case. And if we remember with Mr. Sumaluka, he was all in favor of bringing 900 units of housing in Veterans Field. Back in 2002, we appeared in court, and the people knows the truth, that we fought against all those special interests, and we fought for that field. Now, back in that day, I pushed for the turf field. Unfortunately, I didn't have the votes, but now it's happening. Good. Every time that I come here, I come with facts. No one can say that I'm making things up, but sometimes I can just make one quick comment and everybody's trying to make comments saying, oh, it was a lie, oh, he was wrong. No, absolutely not. Just today, I want to raise my case on this Veterans Field. I walked the field weeks before it was complete because there were no plans. Back then, when I walked the field, they haven't finished on putting stones. Actually, they graded, they lifted, they did a lot of good things that now I seen it once they opened. I do not want to say that it have to do with the comments that I make at this podium. Maybe it wasn't the plans, but unfortunately, no one knew what was happening. All what we just saw, even though that I haven't criticized the professionals then, all I see was just tiles. Look at this Italian tile, look at this, look at the color, how cool it looks. There was no cost, no ideas, no plans, nothing. Saying that, I believe that the people got the right to come, to object, to make an opinion, or to agree with a lot of the things. Some of you made $35,000 for sitting in a part-time job right here. $35,000 for a part-time job, I think is a good gig. And some of you saying that it takes too long, that the people talk too much, there is too many questions. A lot of people would like to have that job for $35,000, part-time job. So think before you speak, because I can tell you that $35,000 nowadays, none of you will make it anywhere in private sector with just a few hours a month. I'm not saying that everybody's costing $35,000, but some of you do. Therefore, when I come over here, and I've been told so many times that I'm wrong, and it takes several years for you to realize, without accepting it, that I was right from the very beginning, but just because it's Omar Rodriguez bringing the subject, is wrong, is undoable, impossible. Just to give you an idea, so I'm not going to go through the list. When I brought up to this council to introduce an ordinance, when or if then Deputy Chief Y will retire to eliminate the position of Deputy Chief of Police, I was told that it's impossible, there is no way. I brought you the ordinance, and we were told that it's not doable. At the end of the day, it happened. It was doable. Like that, I can mention you several points. What I'm trying to make right here tonight, once for all, that when the people come here, you got to be treated with respect. We are not the elected officials. You are the elected officials. You are the one getting paid. You are the one that getting elected or that got elected. Therefore, if you cannot take the heat, you know what the door is. I also was encouraged to speak up when a lot of the answers that you give to the public or to the citizens are not necessarily professional, accurate, or indeed the truth, if I can say it. I want to refer to the last council meeting, last month. For months, one of the residents stood up at this podium and said there is no construction in the township of Satterbrook on Saturdays. And he's been given the runaround for so long, even claiming then Council President Simi Luca expressing, oh, but I have a resolution that yes, they can work on Saturdays. What? Like I said last month, that's politics and legislation 101. A resolution will never supersede an ordinance, and whoever doesn't know that, then Council President Simi Luca, do not deserve to be sitting there. Actually should go back to school, because that one is a slap in the face to all the residents in Satterbrook. Because if that is happening, I wonder why other things are happening. I'm referring to this resolution because I believe it's important. I'm going to keep it, and if possible, I'm going to frame it. It's Resolution 1214-258, which quietly they're trying to rescind the embarrassment of then Council President Simi Luca by saying, basically, what I did is wrong, absolutely wrong. There is no such a thing that a resolution will supersede an ordinance. So this is garbage. So please, let's stop making those mistakes. Let's tell the people the truth, whether they want to hear or not. Let's not just try to go around. The people deserve to be say what actually they have to do. I also was told that several times in the past, Councilman Simi Luca have said it in a regular public meeting that he has a business enterprise with the then former engineer, former township engineer. I've been reviewing the minutes. I'm not perfect, it could be an oversight. So publicly, I'm going to ask through the chair, Councilman Simi Luca, through business administrator / clerk, to please, publicly, I'm asking, can you tell us when, if he said that he got a business enterprise with a former township engineer? Because I don't have the recollection, and I've been looking for the minutes, and I can't find nothing. One thing is to say it private. Private doesn't count. The public got the right to know that if I have a conflict of interest, I can't be sitting and vouching for My employer, that's a, I don't even know how to put it. I don't know, I don't even want to use the wrong word, but actually I'm going to just quote our current township attorney. Mr. Suarez said, that's a direct conflict of interest. You should recuse yourself. Recuse yourself, meaning you have to pack and leave the room. Legislation 101. But then what happened? It's been told, but apparently don't want to listen. Not too long ago, after he was told to recuse himself, he has still been vouching for the engineering firm. So when are we going to stop this? If that is a direct conflict of interest, and if a lawsuit might be pending or not, what is the liability of the town? If the township engineer is saying that, Mr. Sunaluka, you have to recuse yourself because you're doing business with this particular professional, shouldn't just be enough just to cut it off? But if you look into the April meeting, after he was told not to say anything, he is still vouching for the same engineer. So, Council President, with all respect, I will ask you just to enforce what the township engineer has told all the council members and elected officials, actually, all elected officials and professionals. When there is a conflict of interest of any of you doing business with a professional in which one hand is taking money right here and the other hand is doing legislation or vouching for projects, that person have to recuse. Nothing can be said in front of that person. Please, let's get that clear. I would just like to finish with a couple things. Very quick. Are we going to pave any streets this year?
I'm sorry.
Under the road program, are we paving any streets this year?
We're in the process. The engineer gave us a list of roads that he felt that were in need of repair.
Roughly how many roads?
Right, he gave, well, there was actually, I believe, 9 or 10.
Will you be so kindly to provide us at least to read it? Not to read it, not to go in detail. Can you just read them? If you don't mind?
The recommendations of
Yes.
the roads? Okay, there was Wilson Street from Midland Ave to Oak Street, Wilson Street from Fairlawn Parkway to Avon Place, Hayes Ave. Do you want me to give you a copy of this? I mean, you're writing all this down?
No.
Okay. Hayes Ave from Midland Ave to South Drive, including the length of South Drive. Franklin Ave from Market Street to Saddle River Road. Claremont Ave from Westminster Ave to Fairview Ave. Cambridge Ave from Fairlawn Parkway to Saddle River Road. And Shirley Place, Place from Oxford Ave to Alberta Drive. And on this, I don't have the updated list. But
That's
there were
fine.
a couple of additional, engineer, you have the
Council
couple-
President, I do have three
there's a couple
more,
more.
and that would be 3rd Street from Outwater Lane to Capitol Street, 4th Street from Outwater Lane to Jefferson Street, and 9th Street from Outwater Lane to Route 46.
Beautiful. With that being said, just one quick comment. It's a recommendation. It's nothing illegal, nothing. But I just heard a name of a street, and I believe that one of the elected officials live on that street. Either just look for another street, that is in maybe on time of more repair than the elected official. Just the perception will never be the best, I guess. And finally, I would just like to point it out that today I saw that there has been the adoption of the 2015 budget. And it is my understanding last time that I was making some numbers that the increase in the regular house is going to be 94.35 cents. Increase 94 with 35 cents. Increase in an average home in town And I just would like to point, if I can any of you can tell me what is the surplus in this current budget? Anyone? No?
I could refer to Mr. Carnaval. He's sitting here if you have questions. Ray?
Oh, no, I was just saying any of the elected officials, since he was just adopted the budget, and that's usually is the main number that we have to look at. There's two things in the budget, actually more than two things that we got to look at, basically from the standpoint whether we're on good financial grounds or not. Actually, we're going to have to see the ratio. We got to do several things, but just want to see the surplus. If we're going to deplete it, we're going to remain the same. What is the amount? That's what I was looking compared to last year. It's just one simple question. I just was just directing to any elected official. If they can,
Excuse me, through the chair.
an exact amount.
Last year's surplus as of December 31st, 2014 was $535,489.45, of which the remaining balance, Ray, are you with me? I'm being correct in stating this, $385,489.45.
That's for this year, 2015? So we're just going to decrease the surplus. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank
all
you.
for listening. Any questions?
Let me just say.
Omar?
Omar?
Thanks for coming up and speaking, but I just want to clear myself. I mean, you threw that $35,000 a year figure out there. Well,
I say son.
I know, I'm one hell of a bargain, because I ain't even getting $5 grand, okay? And I just want to clear that up. And the other thing is, like, Veterans Field, Veterans Field, Veterans Field. Sylvia, I was behind you 100% on the bathrooms. That was why I was kind of against the field. Hopefully, we're going to be able to do it, okay? The other thing is, I took charge of this because I was in recreation, and when I first saw the plans, yes, some field sizes were not legal, okay? I want to just clear this up. I want to put this to rest. So I had meetings with recreation. I'm only really familiar with baseball, football. I don't have any girls. They didn't play. None of my kids played soccer, lacrosse. So we got together and we made sure all the fields were official size fields. I learned a lot because, like I said, I never played soccer. My kids never played soccer, but soccer has 3 different size fields there, but they're all legal. Lacrosse was another education for me because there's different sizes from girls lacrosse to boys lacrosse. But I made sure that all the fields were legal size to play on. And I just wanted to kind of put that to rest. We don't have to keep kicking it around. It's done. The fields are legit. And again, I wanted to just clear myself at that $35,000.
Councilman Camilleri, thank you very much, but I don't know if I was clear. Maybe my broken English didn't help me, but I said some of you are making $35,000 because the family insurance plan costs around $28,000 in town, plus the $7,000 around in salary, make out the $35,000. By the way, I told you this personal, but I'm going to take the advantage of using the mic tonight, and I want to commend you, especially you, of course everybody, but especially you, on the Veterans Field, because even though that it was not your job as an elected official, especially in your capacity as a councilman, you took charge of this, and a lot of the viewers don't know maybe, but thanks to Councilman Camilleri himself, he noticed that it was a big, big mistake in the order of the turf. That if that would have happened, it was just a few more days, couple more days to make the order. I don't want to blame whoever made the mistake. That's what we pay professionals, but it was thanks to Councilman Camilleri that he noticed the mistake, and the order was stopped. Otherwise, we would be blaming under $800,000 at least. Thank you very much, Councilman Camilleri.
Anyone else wishing to be heard? I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? We'll continue now with the agenda. Ordinances? Yeah.
Ordinance 1596-15, an ordinance amending Chapter 196 of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook for second reading.
I'd like to table this ordinance in light of all the people that came out tonight. I think that we should have a meeting of everybody involved and discuss this before voting on it. That's what I'd like to do.
You make the motion?
I made the motion.
I'll second that.
So it's tabled.
We're in roll call. Roll call to table it.
Okay, to table the ordinance, Councilman Samaluka?
No.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazzer?
Yes.
Ordinance is tabled. Ordinance 1597-15, an ordinance amending Chapter 174 of the Township Code of the Township of Saddlebrook, adding Section 10.18 is to be continued to the July 2nd meeting. This is for road opening permits.
I need a motion to continue. Motion second. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazzer?
Yes.
Ordinance number 3, the attorney's still researching and coming up with words, so that would just be taken off the agenda until the next meeting. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or member so requested, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receive and file letters, correspondence reports, and approval of minutes and applications.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
I discussed this with Mr. Ladico before. For some reason, the bill of Mr. Suarez was not pulled, and as I announced at the swearing in, that Mr. Suarez and I were on the same letterhead at the same law firm. I guess you left in December, I think they split up. He has since started another law firm, so I think I had said I was gonna give it 6 months of abstaining on any legal bills from Mr. Suarez. This is the last month, so since it wasn't pulled from the entire thing, I'll abstain from the entire consent agenda.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazzer?
Yes.
We have payment of bills. Costa Engineering, as posted on the bulletin board.
Do you have a motion?
These are planning board, zoning board, and some other projects.
And nothing pertaining to
Nothing.
field? No. Okay, nothing pertaining to that field. Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
As I've been doing for the last 5 years, I abstain. It is no secret that I have done legal work for Costa Engineering.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
This is for,
Costa.
I understand, but
Nothing to do with that.
nothing to do
It has
with that.
zoning.
It's zoning
planning
board,
board, planning board.
planning board, and some other projects.
I would assume the projects are completed?
Yes.
You know what, he never worked for the zoning board. That's why I put that in question. He never showed up for a meeting.
It's signed by the zoning board chairman,
Yeah.
and it's approved. So
What
it's
happened?
processed.
It-
We didn't approve it. We put it on hold. We did not.
You signed
approve that
voucher.
vote.
Just a-
The chairman. Have it here. January 15th.
He sent us a letter.
All right, just a minute. Lon.
I can only go by what I
I
have.
know, but I'm telling you what the facts are, okay? You got a letter too. He sent a letter saying he never accepted the position. So if he didn't accept the position, how could he bill us for anything?
This is from
For zoning.
January 15th. I
Okay.
don't know if it's from December, but
He
Right.
never accepted the position.
You have your signature on here. You signed the
This
voucher.
was before we got the letter, okay? And then after the meeting, I called the attorney, and Mr. Suarez was on vacation. And I told him, hold up the payment, when Mr. Suarez comes back, I will speak with him. Being that he was the township and, attorney. And that's where it was. But the board, everyone got the letter that night. He did not accept the position. I'm not gonna get the letter. If you haven't
So
seen
why
it,
don't we just pull it, since
We'll
there's.
pull it.
there's
Can we-
one-
can
we pull it? Can we,
It's professional services, 7/20. 15.
Yeah, it goes way before December.
It's for services,
But I
7/20.
wouldn't have signed it, because I couldn't sign off on it. I wasn't on the board. We have bills there that we stopped from January, February, and March.
can we just pull it?
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
$2,500.
We're gonna pull it and discuss it.
I just moved this forward.
It'll be reduced by 25. Mr. Ackerman, we'll reduce it by 2,500.
Reduce it by 25%?
With this being,
We're pulling the zoning board vouchers.
So this is gonna be pulled, it's gonna be $2,500 left. That's what we're voting on. 2,500.
But for everything else. He's got-
Just for
Council President.
clarification, what are we doing?
we removed
Wait,
19? Zoning board fees, yes.
the 2,500 that was just raised as a question.
Okay, okay, you're gonna pull the 25.
Yep,
Council President Mazzer?
yes. That's it. Okay. Mayor, comments?
Okay. I'll be quick. Regarding energy, I just want everybody to know that we met with representatives of Lime Energy. They have a program out there where they replace lighting, HVAC, and controls to be more energy efficient, to replace them with more energy efficient fixtures and equipment. About 70% of the cost is paid by New Jersey Clean Energy, and Lime Energy has a state contract with them to provide that service. So we're currently having them, we're in the process of them assessing some of the town buildings, applicable town buildings, to see if that would be cost efficient for us. I also met with representatives of Jersey Energy Group to discuss possibilities of going solar. Councilman Accomando had brought that up, wanted us to look into that. So they're gonna submit a report to us with the pros and cons. We also looked at some of the possibly purchasing energy from a secondary provider. This company goes to auction and buys energy at a reduced price. So we're looking into that as well. Some meetings, I attended an open space meeting, a public hearing on Tuesday, May the 26th at 1 Bergen County Plaza. There was a public meeting, public comment on our application. There was actually no public comment about our particular application, and at this point, it's going before the county board of freeholders and the county executive for approval. I attended a community emergency response team CERT meeting on Thursday, May 21st, that the chief of police held. We spoke about different ideas for training and using the CERT team members for different tasks, including possibility, maybe the fireworks or the street fair, or some other functions like that. I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a flood advisory committee meeting on Tuesday, June 23rd. We have co-chairs on that committee. Councilman Simaluka and Councilwoman Darminio are co-chairs on that committee. Oh, what did I say? Oh, I'm sorry. Joe Camilleri, what did I say, Joe Simaluka? Okay. It's late, but anyway, it's Councilman Camilleri. June 23rd, to Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Also, Councilman Simaluka is, is the chairperson of the Access for All Committee, which is a committee that we're looking into forming. And I sent letters out to the police department, fire department, ambulance, DPW, Board of Education, Health Department, Kessler Institute, and also St. Philip's requested volunteers. The committee we're forming it, it's a committee that's, this whole issue of Access for All was started, it's a county-wide project, and there's currently about 20 towns that have entered into this Access for All committee. And what it is we're looking to make it easier for people with disabilities to be able to access public buildings, and this committee would get together and look at that. We also, I'm going to put out a press release to the community at large, because this committee looks for volunteers from the community, specifically families that have members with disabilities. They want them to be on the committee as well. Some upcoming events on this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're doing a pond cleaning with the Mayor's Youth Group. At that event, we're starting this off, and this goes hand in hand with the Flood Advisory Committee. Also, the Kiwanis have their fishing derby on Saturday, June the 13th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the county park. And on the same date, there's a blood drive, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Engine Company Number 1. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Council comments? Mr.
Yeah. As far as rec goes, I do believe there is a communication issue, not only with the township and the parents, but as far as the coaches, with the commissioners and the rec director. I feel the same way that they should have monthly meetings between the commissioners, rec director, and coaches on a monthly basis to find out what's going on. Proper training, because like I said, I don't want to mention anything, but Bill has gone through more training than any coach I know. To have coaches do that, it only betters the situation for our kids. So I agree with you all on that. While I'm on veterans and rec, I would like to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day. And that's it.
I would like to say that we are setting up a meeting with the auditor and the bond council to discuss putting the road improvement program into place. What the engineer recommended on a lot of these streets was not only to pave the road, but it was for the water system improvements underneath. And I think what we have to think about is decide which streets we're going to pick, do the water improvement, the water system first, and then pave.
Right.
So that's something that we are going to discuss when we put this program into place. Also, on the engineer's report, there was mention of the Floral Lane and Midland Avenue intersection. At this time, we are not going to proceed with the traffic light at Midland Avenue and Floral Lane. I do want to ask our engineer, though, if you could call the county to ask if they could adjust the timing of the traffic lights on Midland Avenue.
Sure.
The other thing is, I'd like to congratulate all the honorees tonight, and as you said, happy Father's Day to all the dads.
Thank you.
I just have a few comments. First of all, I'd like to leave off on good notes in this town. I was born here, I was raised here my whole life. I had the opportunity to raise my family here. It is a good town. So with that being said, I'd like to congratulate Vince Crowley, Deborah Makowitz, Steve Lazansky, and Rosabella. I can't say her last name.
Good.
But those are all good things, and that's the reason why I'm up here. And the other thing is, it's the month of June. We're probably not going to get back, so I just want to personally wish all the graduates out there a happy graduation, and be safe. Thank you.
Through the chair to Councilwoman Dominio, I don't recall discussing the Floral Lane traffic.
It was
light.
on the engineer's report. I just went through, when I went through the engineer's report at the work session, it was number,
Yeah, I brought that
Number
up.
7, I believe.
I believe it was number 7.
Right, but did we take a vote on that? Because I'm in favor of the 4-lane Midland Avenue intersection traffic light. So I don't recall there being any vote where a majority of the council agreed to pull that project.
Like I said last time, it was put to sleep because certain individuals that were elected, his family member lived on that street, and it only benefited their family, and now they're not here, so it's been put on the back burner. Meanwhile, you have residents that are worrying about what's gonna happen to their frontage when they only have 1 foot from their street to their steps. That's why I brought it up, and it was never an issue until the election was lost.
Okay,
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Was there ever an ordinance, Pete, on this?
An ordinance was introduced and established for engineering fees to do the study and the plans. There's no monies allocated for acquisition of property or whatever the county may require for a traffic light.
Okay, but is Mr. Sumaluka right in that maybe it should be voted on before we just table
We'd have
it?
to introduce an
Or-
ordinance for providing the funds for land acquisition and easements.
Yes.
And whatever the costs are for the traffic light. The only thing we have right now that was passed was for the engineer to do a study, which was done.
Okay.
So we would have to proceed with an ordinance.
I think it's just at a
Okay.
minimum, I
Next
think.
step.
Right,
I
so
think that we should bring
we're
that up.
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think at a minimum, we should bring that up at a council meeting and just hash it out before, you know, if, Karen, if you didn't say it, I would have no idea that we were gonna, just not go through with that. So I would like to definitely bring it up at the next work session, just so we could talk about it. I mean,
Okay.
you know, maybe I'll feel different.
That's fine.
Just on that issue, the reason I brought it up to 2 months ago is because a resident there asked me what was going on with it because they were left in limbo. The engineer came, gave him a report, apparently from the county, I believe it was. They were losing 10 feet of their frontage. They're like 12 feet from Midland Ave now, 2 or 3 houses. So that would literally, you take your kid out for school, you gotta make sure he stays on the inside of the sidewalk. I just don't think that's fair and safe, although putting a traffic light for what?
I agree if that's actually the case, because I know, while being the attorney for the zoning board, what we did a lot of times in the south end of town, there were houses that wanted to be redeveloped, and literally you stepped off the front step. If you tripped, you would get hit by a car. So what they did, what the zoning board did wisely, was to make their new home have a setback which was at or close to the 25 feet setback that's required under the ordinance. So certainly, that would sound extremely dangerous, but I'd like to see plans that say that. I just can't imagine that even the county would agree to that, because it's a county road, to have their road go within a foot or two to someone's front steps. I agree, it sounds horribly dangerous, so I agree with that. But if we can get that report and just bring it up, so this way we could talk a little bit about that. I'm gonna wrap all this stuff up, I guess, old business, new business, that kind of stuff. In terms of recreation, I had said something about a full-time recreation director. By no means does that mean that I am disparaging the work done by our current rec director or the previous rec directors going back from my time, Hank Fishin, I think Mike DeVito was one of them, Lou Verilli and Renee DeMaria were involved, Manny Scarangella, and all of them. And if I missed somebody, I apologize. But they do a great job under horrible circumstances and with really little or no stipend, and they're getting calls. And I know Jerry Taylor, I'm sorry, and I miss him. But when the amount of stipend that they get, the minimum stipend that they get is nowhere compensates them for the work that they're doing. And they're all doing their best. But again, I've had it out there for years that a permanent full-time rec director, I think, would be in the best interest of the township. And someday, hopefully, we'll get that. In terms of lacrosse, It was mentioned before, so if somebody's still tuned into this, 10 to 11, they are having a lacrosse tournament this Saturday and Sunday. And Sunday, just to give a plug to Unico, to which I belong, Unico will be running the snack stand on Saturday and Sunday, and they're using that as a fundraiser. There will be food, and I will be there Sunday morning helping out Unico at the high school field. On Orchard, I know we tabled it, but, I mean, what the hell, I'll talk about it now. I'm not in favor of the ordinance. They could have a meeting, I don't think my mind will be changed, although I am open-minded, but I think I've heard everything I need to hear, and just even in my mind, I said it at the last meeting, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes you're gonna have an overnight guest if you live there, and you're not gonna be able to park. I don't feel, I mean, I came from Lodi, and in my street, it was the typical, when you shoveled your snow, you put out chairs, refrigerators, whatever it was to block it, and there were fist fights and all kinds of things like that. Nobody owns the street, and it just seems weird. In my house, we all turn around the block so this way we can park on our side of the street, and now that, there's 3 grown kids, there's five cars in the house, we kind of have to go on part of our neighbor's property, and sometimes they give you a dirty look, but it's open to everybody, and I think it sets a dangerous precedent if we do this in this area, because there are other cul-de-sacs, and somebody in a cul-de-sac is gonna say, well, it should just be for the 5 of us, but it's not. Somebody on a dead-end street is gonna be just for the people around here. So again, I think it's a dangerous precedent. Unfortunately, and I gotta tell you, I've lived here in town for 28 years. I gotta say, 30 years. Sometimes when I drive down Saddle River Road, I say, what the heck happens when these people have a party? I mean, some of the houses that are along the park have big, long driveways, but some of them have a 1 or 2 car driveways. It's like, what happens when they have guests? What happens when grandma wants to come visit? It's tough. So I don't envy anybody in that situation, but I have to just tell whoever's living there and is parking on Orchard, which I think you have the right to. That's my personal opinion. Please, if it's not you, but if it's your guests, you got to tell them that there are people there. They're used to having their own space. This may be something new to them. So just tell them you may get some backlash, but please just try and be civil, try and be calm. We don't need back and forth, because then all of a sudden the police get involved, and next thing you know, you're in court with harassment charges. So just tell your guests to just stay calm and carry on. In terms of something else that we didn't do tonight, which is the nepotism ordinance, yes, I was able to do it during my lunch hour. I eat quick, and we only had the other ordinance, in my opinion, was not that far off. What we did, or what I did, and this is the proposal, and it can be voted on or voted for or voted against, is that we added somebody who's a supervisor to not have their relative also defined here. Relative is a spouse, a natural adopted child, a parent, or a sibling. So relative is limited, and the supervisor is defined as a department head or a division head. So we added that. So what it would cover would be a council member, a mayor, a department head, or a division head, and their relatives would not be able to be hired here. It would not stop someone who is an employee that's under the definition of relative. When their relative becomes a department head or division head, they don't have to leave, certainly. But I do think it meets the goal of, again, the appearance of impropriety on who was hired and why they were hired and how they were hired. And it's also limited to that particular division or department. So somebody in the police department's kid or brother or sister can work in the DPW or white collar, anything like that. And it just goes throughout everything. It's just that particular person who's in charge of that department can't have a relative in that same department. I think it functions well. I don't think that hurts anybody. In terms of Midland Avenue, I talked to the engineer on Tuesday. So, Rich, I'm going to talk to you to, again, pass it on to Tom. Midland Avenue, I've been asked by people, we've talked about it for, I guess, a year now. Midland Avenue, the county was paving Midland, Outwater, and Market. We were getting the county roads to be paved, but first we had to do the sidewalks, the curbs, handicapped accessible curbing. But there's some back and forth, so I told Tom on Tuesday, I said, just jump on it. Go to the county, harass them, because we got to get this done. First, we got to get our curbs in. We pay for that. Once we're done, then they come in and pave, but then they reimburse us. So, but I said, don't wait for anybody. Don't wait. I got to talk to the other engineer. Just get on it and done. If you guys are the engineers, you got to get it. You got to get it done. We did talk on Tuesday about the billboard that we talked about, the mobile billboard that's hopefully going to be in front of Town Hall. And what the mayor had indicated was the chief is going down to a convention or some kind of seminar later on this month, and we'll be talking to vendors, and hopefully soon, maybe by the end of the summer, because we've got to go through all this bureaucratic red tape to buy anything. But maybe by the end of the summer, we can get that, and I think that'll be good. If the chief is going down, my thought was to have it double-sided. This way you can see it coming eastbound and also going westbound. In terms of what went on this past, or was it this past week, the weekend before, we had the veterans, we had the Memorial Day Parade, which was a great parade. And again, I think I said it for 3 years in a row. We're not just lazy bums, even though my foot is bad. We would like to walk, but the veterans' preference is that the politicians ride, and Mayor White took a unique approach to riding by using his Segway. But when people say, hey, Mr. Lazuski, God bless his soul, he walked the entire event. I mean, we did it for years, but they felt that it slowed down the parade. So we'd love to do it, but just so, for those who haven't heard this little speech for the last 3 years, that's the reason that we don't do it, because we're told not to do it. I want to congratulate Mr. Lazuski, Mr. Crowley, the Makowitz family, and Rosalba for their awards that they got tonight. And again, we had, I think from the last meeting that we had, we did rededicate Veterans Field, and we had a good turnout from the American Legion, Post 3484 of VFW, and also the Korean War vets. So we want to thank them again for their service, and it was a really good event. And I think Karen Darminio took the ball on that one and ran with it, and then put on a good show. So that was very good. I think that's all I have, except I'm going to predict Warriors in 6 and Blackhawks in 6, and that's the end of it. The one last thing. We didn't mention about Father's Day. And, I lost my dad like 48 years ago. Did we do? But 48 years ago, it's a long time. So those who still have your dad, give him a big hug. And lately, it's weird. I haven't heard the song in years, and all of a sudden I got Cats in the Cradle coming on every day, which always, makes me well up a little bit. But, fathers obviously, got to do what's right for your kids, and kids appreciate and respect your dad. Because no one is on their deathbed and saying, you know what, damn, I should have worked a little more. They're usually saying I should have spent a little more time with my family. So Father's Day is a great time for family, so I wish everyone a happy Father's Day, and everyone stay safe at their barbecues. All the graduates stay safe, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay. I have a couple of comments, believe it or not. In regards to the concession stand and the bathrooms, I just want to reassure everyone, we're going to be very diligent with this project. Mr. Costa, our former engineer, actually submitted the plans to us, and we did ask our current engineer to overlook it also, and to come up with a cost estimate so it stays within our budget. And if there's anything that needs to be revised that we can do an alternate, so it fits into our budget, that is going to be his job also. It doesn't make sense to start in the middle of a season. So yes, unfortunately we cannot give a time when this thing will be finished, when this project will be finished. We're going to try to have the least inconvenience for for all the sports, but in the end, it will be a state-of-the-art facility. Okay, on some good things. To continue, I'd also like to congratulate all the scholarship recipients of our high school. Did a great job this year, and as always. I also like to thank the parade committee. Beautiful job, beautiful day, and to congratulate Mr. Crawley. I had the privilege of being at a Blue Mass yesterday, which was for our men and women in blue, which are our police officers on county, state, local, of course, level. Not only was it a beautiful ceremony for the most recent police officers that were killed, but it also was a prayer to protect our all our police officers. We are doing the 12-hour shifts. I hear it's going pretty smooth. It's a couple of, it's taking a time to get into that groove, but I hear it's pretty smooth. And also, we plan on hiring at least 2, possibly 3 more officers in the near future. And what else we got? July 3rd is fireworks.
Yes.
And I, too, would like to congratulate all our graduates from preschool to grad school. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers and grandfathers, stepfathers, and everyone else who it pertains to. And on that note, yes.
Something I forgot. I'll be quick, I promise. Okay. I can talk as many times as I want, Sylvia. Green paving. You were here during this person saying green paving. So just a suggestion is when we're going out to bid and we're doing a parking lot, like we may be doing a parking lot for veterans or some other project, if green paving could be one of the alternates or actually come in with that. Second, it is Veterans Field. I did walk on it right after that huge rainstorm. I think I walked on it Monday night, and it was dry as a bone. I mean, I was jumping up and down on it trying to get my shoes wet, and I couldn't. So it's draining very, very well. And lastly, happy birthday, Flo.
Thank you. Yes. Okay.
I just would like to bring up one thing, the fireworks. There is a concert at 7 o'clock in the park before the fireworks. It's the Willies. They're a local group. They will be playing from 7 to 9, and then the fireworks will go after that. So it's the first time we're trying the concert, so I hope that we have a good attendance.
Great, thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Just on the note of the fireworks, we have been getting a lot of calls in, and we just made up a nice banner that we're gonna put on SBC TV and the website and Facebook and everywhere else, and we'll put it on, put it in community news as well, because we have been getting a lot of questions about it. And I think it's a great idea with this concert. It's something new, but from what I'm hearing, and I mention it to people, they seem to really be looking forward to that. So it's, and I'm looking forward to it as well. I just want to say happy Father's Day, and also for all the children that are graduating. And I see Mrs. Ottarelli in the audience, and I'm bringing you up because I found out today that the school is videotaping at least a high school graduation. So I'm gonna ask the school to give us that tape so we can put it on SBC TV. That'd be nice, I think. So I want you to push for that. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Second.
The tabling of the orchard, we didn't hear enough to have a vote, and if we are gonna send another notice out, let us know when we're gonna have an open discussion for that again. It'll be July 2nd, correct?
It'll be for the next meeting.
Next
The next
meeting.
meeting, July
Yes.
2nd.
You know what, I just want to say one other thing
Yes.
too. I just want to thank Chief Kugler on that, because it was Chief Kugler's
Wait, just wait.
idea to put that, to notify those residents in that area that we were having the second reading on that ordinance, so that was something that the chief thought of, and we all agreed on that, which was a good thing.
The meeting is closed to the public.
All right, meeting's closed. Are we done? Done?
So that's okay. My motion closed. Second.
Second.
All in favor?